Here. Long.
Here.
Powell. Here. Val.
Here.
Smith Charles.
Present.
Spiz.
Present.
Here.
Thank you. Let's all rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Next up, we have approval of our previous minutes. I'll take a motion. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, supported by Commissioner Spiz. All in favor of approving the minutes, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Minutes are approved. Next up, we have the approval of today's agenda. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Taylor. All right. Any additions, deletions, or comments on the agenda? Seeing none, all in favor of approving today's agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. Next, we have our public comment. At this time, we welcome members of the public who have something they want to bring before the Finance Commission, Finance Committee. Is there anyone who wishes to speak at this time? Seeing none, I will close our first public comment, move on to communications. Item 7A, an overview of the federal grant funding. Moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Smith Charles. Welcome.
Good morning. Cheryl Johnson, Deputy CFO. Brent Straub. I introduced to you our new Chief of Budget. We made the announcement today. I'm gonna take just a little tiny bit of privilege and say that in our internal announcements will be coming out to everyone. We also announced Candice Giles will be moving into our central chief position. And so then those two new positions will be opening and we'll start the process for those. And Commissioner, I wanted to let you know that we have onboarded 5 people since we went through the addition. 2 of those people are replacements for positions that are empty, so we still have 2 more positions, but they are butts in seats.
Great, thank you.
You're welcome.
All right.
So as also promised, we are going to be doing an update to the federal funding and all of the finance committees. It'll come as a communication. I'm gonna let Brent talk. There's not any real giant changes, but Brent made some changes to the graphs and I want him to walk everybody through those and then we'll take any questions you have. Brent, okay, thank you.
So,
Do we have this, did we send the slideshow?
yes.
Yes, it's in here now.
Okay.
So, I'm gonna
We all have it on our iPads.
Okay.
Oh, you do? Okay, perfect. So I'm gonna jump to page 3. I've tried to make this very easy for us to look at what changes happen from presentation to presentation. This is going to be a rather short update because there's only a few things that really changed. The first one is gonna be a revision of the position counts. Working together with some of the other departments, we identified a number of positions that were closed status, meaning that they not only are unfilled, but they are not available to be filled. So we removed those. That primarily is going to impact your denominator, not really the actual grant funded positions. So that's the first thing. The second point is we added in some of the additional explanation that we presented back on the 26th regarding specifically Circuit Court for the Title 4D funding and the Title 4E funding, focusing in on the fact that child care funds, while not a grant, is federal dollars. There is an impact there. So we revised that slide to make sure that that was updated. We did remove for prosecuting attorney the Oxford grant. One thing to note about that is during our budget process,
Babies very
standard
often.
procedure,
That's
we load the budget and then when the new one comes in, we back up the old and put in the new. There's an expectation we are going to receive this grant, we haven't, so therefore we're gonna be actually issuing a correction to the budget in Q2 to make sure that that item is removed from the amended budget. Finally, there was a request to look at the number of grants by department. And it's on the very last slide, so we'll be on slide 16, and I wanna take a brief moment to talk about this one in particular, because as you can obviously see, it's not by department, and there's a reason for that. If we were to showcase it by department, you're going to see duplication. So case in point, front of the court, for instance, that is a very large grant. You have grant dollars going to circuit court, you have grant dollars going to sheriff, you would see it once in circuit court, once in sheriff. So they all work in one fund, so it makes sense to showcase it this way. We also chose to look at it by not individual grant item, but by award. One award can be multiple grants. So this will give you a better understanding of how many items that are grant dollar based are we actually talking about. So I'll kind of leave it there and open it for questions. I will note that there are some items that we are working on that are not ready yet. They're noted under that upcoming section, notably the Medicaid reimbursement cuts, whether or not if that's gonna happen, what the impact there is gonna be, in addition to tariffs. Two other items that were brought to my attention that did not manage to make this report yet were the potential impact on USAID for the children's lunches. So we are working with the department to identify if we're actually impacted by this. In addition to that, I'm sure you've all heard the news today about the emergency Homeland Security and Emergency Management, that the state is having a press conference today about the fact that they're not getting really that funding from the federal government. Yes, it's all FEMA. And we are working with our departments to figure out what reimbursement have we requested? Have we actually received any of that funding? What's our outstanding amount of money that we are owed? I do not have that figure for you yet, but that is something we are actively pursuing.
Okay, thank you. Okay, I have a couple of questions here. Commissioner Long?
Thank you. I think, did you see my request? I clicked the button.
Okay.
I did, I think, just to make sure you see it, so. The federal, on the last page, so the all awards, so on, I like the first one, general fund grants, 48. So that 11 on federal is included in that 48, correct?
Yes.
Okay, that's it. Thank you.
Commissioner Taylor, followed by Commissioner Cavell.
And on that same report, could we add percentages, like that 11 is what percentage of that?
Yes, absolutely.
Like what percentage? The other thing, you had mentioned the Goslin, I got a copy of that.
Oh, okay.
And regarding those grants, I looked at be it further resolved, and the first part said a portion for reduction in the local maintenance, would authorize thereby reducing the total number of service levels and for the categories. But the item number 2 takes care of what I think we were concerned about, and it said the county department administratively responsible for the categorical program shall recommend a reprioritization of funds within existing authorized resources to continue the grant program at desired budget and service levels. So I think that's what we wanted. So I think we're okay with it. Yeah? Okay, thank you. Those are
Is that, I'm sorry if I may, is that in regards to the
the funding,
Money
the
goes
grants,
away.
the grants funding.
all the grant funding? Okay.
That was all of it, because we were concerned about that. And thank you for this report, and you answered all the other questions that I would have had, so I don't have to ask those. Thank you.
Commissioner Cavell.
So when we get to services provided by department, am I to understand the bullet pointed things are talking about which of these specific things are federally funded, like fully?
So I wouldn't necessarily say it's fully, it would be dependent on the department. A lot of these are going to be fully funded, but I would have to look at it grant by grant to see if there's a grant match component, if there's any state portion. But these are the high-level activities that for each department, what are the federal grant-based activities?
Okay. So when you say in workforce development though, fully funded by federal grants?
Yes.
Everything underneath that is federal?
Yes, so workforce development is particular in that regard, in that they are essentially 100% funded by federal grant dollars.
Okay. And then when you go to neighborhood housing and development, you say fully funded by federal grants, same thing?
Yes,
So then just to say this so we all hear it, the 3,075 residents who we are preventing from homelessness are funded by federal grants. The 25,000 residents who we use for, I'm imagining our CDBG grants for low to moderate income families, fully funded by federal grants. The creation of affordable housing for low income families with 283 residents served is fully funded by federal grants.
that's my understanding.
So then, when we go to health, how much of pregnancy support was that, right? That doesn't say fully federally funded, but that's here, so that means a lot of it's federal?
Yeah, so in the health grants in particular, we'd have to look at the individual grant. From my understanding, and I can take it back to see
Sure.
what those exact percentages are. My understanding is that the majority of this funding is federal grant dollars, but I will take it as a note to get that for you.
Okay, so the majority of it's safe to say, the majority of our pregnancy support is federally funded. The majority of our vaccinations, disease prevention, public health workforce, WIC is federally funded. Okay, just again, to lift that up for us all. And again, 100% of housing and 100% of workforce development.
And that is why we have asked Finance Fiscal Services to continue to tell us in real time how these changes in Washington are affecting what we do here in Oakland County. So thank you for raising those issues, Commissioner. Anything else, Commissioner? Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
One question.
Commissioner
Do we-
Taylor?
I'm sorry, thank you. Do we know how many of our grants is from the DEI department? You know, because that's the department they're really slashing and cutting and all of that.
So in my previous role as a financial analyst, I actually was the analyst for DEI. So I can tell you that I am unaware of any grant funding that is for the Office of Diversity, Equity, Inclusion. Now, that is not to say that there isn't something out there that they might be looking at applying for. I have not had those conversations, but at least as it comes to their division, there are none.
Thank you. And if I didn't say it, I really appreciate this report. I love the layout and especially how you broke it down by department. I really love that. Thank you.
I have forwarded this report on to the leadership at SEMCOG because they're asking all of the groups to keep them apprised of where these federal changes are potentially affecting them. So please keep it coming. We really appreciate this. Commissioner Powell.
So with the DEI, mind me asking this, I'm sorry, I should know this, but what is the funding for the DEI? Like, where did it come from?
So the Diversity, Equity, Inclusion Division is a division of the County Executive Department.
Got
That
it,
is a
okay,
general fund department.
got it, okay.
So
okay.
it would all be general fund.
Property taxes.
Got it, well, no, I just, cause I
Doesn't
thought,
come from
right, but I
the
thought the
feds.
ARPA, right, I thought the ARPA helped us establish that, I just forgot, but, okay, great, thank you, that's all I need, thank you.
Thank you, Commissioner. Anybody else? Okay, well, if we don't have any other comments or questions, let's go ahead and prompt the vote on receiving and filing, right?
Yes.
Thank you.
Seven nays, 0 nays.
Okay, here's some carries. Let's see. I gotta get back to my screen, but I'm gonna move on even though I can't find it. Okay, next up we have our item 8, departmental recommendations. The first is item 8A, appropriation to support the RX Kids program. It's the executive's office that's bringing this forward. It will need a budget amendment and Sarah Gold and Madiha are here to share the program with us, so.
Yeah.
I need a motion, Commissioner Powell, supported by Commissioner Smith Charles. Good morning.
Good morning. Thank you so much for having us here. We are here to share something really exciting that I think is extremely meaningful to elevate moms and babies in Oakland County. Our motion is to authorize a appropriation of $500,000 to the Oakland County RX Kids program. And what the RX Kids program is, it's a prenatal infant cash prescription program that supports pregnant mothers and babies during the first year of the baby's life. So for those of you who may not know, a baby's brain doubles in size in the first year of their life. It is also a time when mothers specifically face an economic impact because they have been off of work because of taking care of their child. And oftentimes we've seen moms go back to work too quickly and not be able to provide the postnatal care that the child needs at home because they have to go back to work. And I know that, this is something that is very near and dear to all of us. And I will also say that this program is not new. It was started by Dr. Mona Hanna-Attisha in Flint, and has been successfully launched there and is also being launched and exists in multiple parts of the state, and has been bipartisan supported across the board. It is not only an efficient program, it's also a pro-family program. We've actually seen, if you look at the studies of the program in other places, we've seen a trickle-up effect in the local economy because when moms are getting that prescription for cash in the first year of life, they are spending that money in the local economy, creating positive economic impacts. And most of this money is being spent on things like rent and food. And one thing that was really interesting was the positive impact the program has had on housing security for moms. And I just want to elevate that because we've seen some extremely tragic things happen with moms who were not housing secure in our region, including the most recent tragedy that happened in Detroit. So we're really excited to bring this forth. What I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna hand it over to Sarah to go over some of the specifics of how this is gonna go down and maybe talk about the Pontiac piece as well.
Thank you, Medea. And thank you everybody for having me here today. Like Medea said, I'm Sarah Gold. I've met many of you either in my current role or in past interactions with the Board of Commissioners. I am the Strategic Partnerships and Initiatives Officer with Oakland County, and this program is a really great example of the work that I'm trying to do to help bring additional resources and strengthen our partnerships in Oakland County to better the lives of our residents. And like Medea said, this is a really exciting opportunity to bring a proven program to Oakland County. So with an investment of $500,000 from the county, we will be a catalyzing effort. We will catalyze an effort to not only bring this program to Pontiac, but to bring it to several different locations within the county. We have an opportunity to bring the program not only to Pontiac, where we have some mobilization of resources already in place to launch, but to Hazel Park and Royal Oak Township as well. And as I mentioned, a small group of stakeholders has been working together to bring the program to Pontiac. We've raised both the public and private dollars needed to be able to launch the program for at least 2 years and to sustain the program for 6 months of a new baby and new mother's the first 6 months of that new baby's life, which is really exciting and meaningful for those families. Our investment of $500,000 would catalyze our ability to bring it to multiple cities at once, like I said. So the city of Pontiac put in $500,000 of the city's funding to be able to mobilize additional private funding to come in, and we view our investment at the county as able to do the exact same thing. So why now? We have a special opportunity that has a little bit of urgency. Right now in the state budget, there is $20 million of TANF funding available for geographies that raise enough private and additional public funding to match and leverage those TANF dollars in our community. And the way that it works is, like Medea said, Flint has been operational with this program for a year. The city of Kalamazoo just launched a couple weeks ago and has started to enroll participants in the program. A cluster of cities in eastern UP have launched the program and are all leveraging those available TANF funds. Those funds are earmarked lightly for us if we can come up with a match, but it won't be there forever, and it's possible that other geographies in the state who are also working to raise funds may get there before us and grab them. So we want to move with a little bit of urgency to make sure that those funds that are in place and ready for us come into Oakland County while they're available.
I just wanna say also that this team that's working on leveraging the private dollars has done some incredible things in Pontiac. So the 500,000 was the original, match or investment that the city made. And then how much money did we raise in the private funds?
Total, it's over $5 million at this point.
Private
That's
foundation
a
money.
combination of funding coming from the Alex Family Foundation, the Pontiac Funders Collaborative, which sits at the Community Foundation for Southeastern Michigan, the Total Health Foundation, and we're in conversations with additional foundations who are looking to either increase or come on board and fund the program, both in Pontiac and hopefully to help us close the gap to launch Hazel Park and Royal Oak Township as well.
If they see the government invested, even if it's for a small amount, that catalyzes all of the private funders because they know that we as a county are committed to expanding this program. Sorry.
Yeah, that's great. And just for, a little bit of scale, launching the program in Pontiac, Royal Oak Township, and Hazel Park would leverage just over $2 million TANF dollars that would otherwise either go unspent or go into communities outside of Oakland County. So it's not a small amount of funding to leverage. The program has been live for just over a year in Flint, and we're starting to get some really amazing success stories and evaluation results that some of which Medea mentioned. But I thought I would just lift up a few key data points that are really important and would be incredibly impactful here in Oakland County as well. As Medea mentioned, the birth of a baby has been found to be the most economically precarious time for a family. I think any of us who have gone through that understand why that is. And it only gets more precarious the fewer resources that you have to begin with. But RX Kids in Flint really puts a stop to that precarity for families who are having babies. Participants in Flint saw both their housing and food security improve during participation in the program, where others not participating in the program outside of the city of Flint sees a reduction in their food security and their housing security. In the first year of the program, and in Flint, the uptake of this program is almost 100%. Anybody who is eligible came forward and participated. And so the data is very, very strong coming out of Flint. The best sort of talking point and evaluation point that I've heard is that there were 0 evictions among families who participated in the program. There were not 0 evictions of moms and new babies prior to the program being available in the city of Flint. Remarkable that this program could be able to ensure that babies and new moms have a home and a roof over their head and a safe place during those really important developmental months. Another issue that's near and dear to all of our hearts, I assume, is maternal health and well-being. Especially mental health. We all know that the birth of a baby is a stressful time for new mothers, and that postpartum depression is a real issue that many families face. And in Flint, compared to Flint mothers with babies born in 2023, mothers who participated in the RX Kids program are nearly 10 percentage points less likely to exhibit symptoms of depression after the birth of their baby. As we all know, Medea mentioned, babies' brains experience rapid developments in the first year of life, especially the first 6 months of life. And the environment where these babies are being brought home to and are being nurtured during those formative months is really, really important. And these findings help to support the health of babies during this critical period and prove that the program is really working to support families during those months. So as Madiha mentioned, also the program builds on a track record of cash allowance programs that help pull families out of poverty and stabilize the environment during those formative months of brain development for babies. And it's really exciting for us to bring a program that is so well studied, so well managed, and so well run into Oakland County.
So let's hear it for the mamas and the babies.
Okay, I have a couple of commissioners who have put in requests to speak, so I'll start with Commissioner Long and followed by Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you. A couple of my things were answered, but so I guess my first question is how are the three cities or the township and the city chosen? Is it a calculation for poverty or what? How were those three chosen out of Oakland County?
Yeah, that was a conversation really started by Dr. Mona, who runs the RX Kids program statewide and is the holder of the program model. And these are the three cities where the TANF funding that's available to be leveraged is enough to make the program affordable in raising private dollars. So these are the places where there are enough families that can leverage the TANF funding to make it a realistic goal to launch the program universally. One of the things about this program is it's a program of targeted universalism. So for the families that participate, there is no test other than to live in the community that is lifting up support for moms and babies during this time. The TANF funding that's available to be leveraged only goes to the families who are Medicaid births. Okay. And so the calculation is where those TANF funds can cover the right percentage of moms and babies such that fundraising is possible to close the gap.
Like you don't wanna leave some moms out.
Yeah.
So it's a combination of the poverty and the need, but also what's feasible with, I mean, this is like the first time it's expanding in Oakland County.
So that's more coming from the state
Yeah.
with this
Correct.
grant funding,
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly.
And I guess my second question, I have like four, sorry, so I'll try to be kind of quick. My second one, how will it be marketed? How are these people, that are having needs of assistance after they have their newborn, how will they know this program is available in Oakland County?
Great question. So our local implementing partner will be OLSA, who first and foremost has an excellent boots on the ground operation and is connected to this population of families. It's one of the reasons why they were the right choice to be local implementer. So they have contact with WIC families throughout the county. They have contact because of their with young families through Head Start, and they have an incredible community engagement operation that's out there in our communities. But that's one of the reasons why the county has come forward as a stakeholder partner in this, is that we want to participate in making sure that moms understand that this program would be available. And so we will use our own ability to spread the word and wrap our services around those families as well. Other geographies that have launched the program have also formed subcommittees of community partners so that all of the messaging and community engagement work for RX Kids is coordinated. We're all talking in the same way and giving the right information at the right time, but there'll be a coordinated and concerted effort to make sure that the word is out.
Okay, because I do worry about if it's internet-based, internet's crazy expensive, I'm sorry. I mean, I feel like canceling mine and starting over to get it for $30, So I do worry that if we're just putting everything online, because frankly, middle class, this internet is crazy. The prices, how they, once they get you in, and I can't imagine being in a poverty level, being able to afford internet, so I'm worried.
There are multiple avenues into which somebody can sign up.
Yeah, you do not have to have a computer to be able to sign up. The reason why we're picking OLSA as a partner is you could walk in the doors of OLSA and be served
Okay,
with
that's what I wanna make sure,
Yep.
that there's somehow that, because
Absolutely.
that's just not a realistic goal anymore. I mean, for us to say we're marketing through our website and stuff, because with the internet prices, I think they're crazy. But, okay, and then, when you look at the title, RX program, it's kind of deceiving, because I personally first thought it was for, like, in the 6 months, the vaccination. So that is not, you're doing home visits, a lot other things. I didn't know if that title, I don't like that title personally. That's just me. I thought it was vaccinations, and as my fellow commissioner just said in the previous item, you know, vaccinations are federally funded. So then I was right away thinking, until I start hearing your presentation, that we're giving $500,000 to help vaccinations, which are already federally funded if you don't have money to get vaccinations. So I personally don't like that title. I don't know if you can do anything, because it's so much more than that. So upon first, and I think my fellow Commissioner Mike thought the same thing when you're reading it, you were doing so much more with this program. I don't think that title does it justice, in my opinion.
Well, you can take that up with Dr.
Yeah.
Mona.
Yeah, is that a state one? I'll have to go up to Lansing.
Yeah,
See me on
exactly.
news right now.
If I may though, I will say it has this positive ripple effect on medical care too, you know. I don't know if any of you experienced this. I mean, when I was a new mom, my first time, like I didn't have paid leave, and we were really struggling, you know, to keep things going financially, and I'm taking care of there were many times where when you're so preoccupied with that like financial burden of being a new mom that you forget to go and do the regular checks with the doctor. So there is this effect where, if I have to choose between keeping food on the table and getting my kid vaccinated in time, like I'm gonna choose to keep food on the table, right? So yes, it's not a vaccination program, but I think it has a positive ripple effect on those things,
Okay.
which I know you
So
can.
this would this include home visits and assessing the family, in the 6 months of the, the living situation? So maybe, some of that could be caught before it gets too far after the 6 months for deplorable living conditions or something, so that could be caught before?
So the program itself does not pay for those types of services, but again, the reason why the county is so interested in partnering to bring the program here is it gives us another avenue with the services and programs that we already do operate that do those things to reach new moms and to reach those babies. So our plan is to build a direct connection between those who choose to participate in this program and awareness about those programs so that we can make sure that we're doing all of those things.
Okay.
Like imagine as a new mom, you get this RX for Kids, cash prescription, but then you're getting a call from one of our nurse on calls to there's like this extra trust that's built because they know that we really care about you, and your baby. So we have this scaffolding of support that's gonna build around this program, that would include our care coordination and our Oakland Connect program.
Okay, thank you, I'm good, thank you.
Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Commissioner Long asked some of my questions. But I guess when you first read our packet, it is very simplistic to what you explained. I think you did a great job explaining. And, I would love to have all that information in our packet, because to be able to ask different questions and understand what you're doing, I think it sounds like a great program, right? And having that detail is something that is not in our packet. So I'd ask staff, maybe let's do a little bit better job of putting some of this detail in here, because it helps us commissioners with a lot of questions and thought process before we come in. Because I was going down a different road until you started speaking. I'm like, okay, changes everything.
I was going down a different road too.
So, because one of the reasons I ran for politics is to help kids. It's one of the reasons I'm here. Because to me, it's all about the kids. Us adults can take care of ourselves for the most part, but the kids need us to help support them. So one of my big questions is sustainability. This $500,000 is for 1 year, right? How or what is the plan to make sure programs such as this is sustainable over multiple years, right? And two, what's gonna stop us from expanding into other programs? Because yes, I can understand these 3 communities, but I'd like to see my district get some of this help too, because there are people in my district that could benefit from this program, right? So I'd like to see what is the overall plan and structure to make it bigger, and then $500,000, okay, that's 1 year.
Yeah.
I hate to see us go through all this, do all this work, get all this private money, and all of a sudden we run out of funding, we can't do this anymore. How do we continue to make this successful?
So I'll just say, like, in the bigger picture, what Dr. Monahan, Atisha, and Luke Schaefer are doing is they are using this data that they're getting from these initiatives to ensure a long-term sustainability through TANF. I know that it's gonna happen over time. It's not gonna, we'd have to continue applying for grants to sustain it in the short term, but in the long run, that's the goal. And it's gone pretty far in Lansing, where, I mean, at least with my conversation with the officials in Lansing, and I'm sure, Charlie, you've spoken to folks too, there is a lot of appetite for this because it's a bipartisan supported program. So that is the long term. I mean, what we're doing right now is we're just saying that we're committed to this program because 500,000 is that's a piece of the puzzle. Once everything else fits in, I think that, I think that this would be able to be sustainable in the long run. So, and until then, we've got a very robust team. I mean, I cannot even tell you, like, I'm myself in awe with how Sarah and Leanne and our community partners at Olsha and, Pontiac, Funders Collaborative, what they have been able to do in this short period of time. So, yeah, I feel like we have so many opportunities that we haven't even tapped. And just like you, Commissioner, like I think there's so many people who stand behind the babies that I think we will be able to continue to leverage the funds until TANF, takes care of this, so.
And I will say it's 2 years, so there's a milestone that we must meet in order to become a part of the expanding world of RX Kids is to come up with funding in hard commitments for the first year and very likely commitments for the second year, but Dr. Mona won't launch unless we know we at least have 2 years, which gives the program time to exist and take root in a community. Yeah.
So thank you very much for that. I guess one request I have is, can you send me, and I'm assuming others on this committee, even probably the whole board of commissioners, more detail on this program?
Yes.
Sure, of
Because
course.
this is an
Way
answer.
different than your,
Yeah.
here in your presentation.
Even if we
Point
could have
taken.
it in the board
Board
packet
packet.
for a week,
Yeah.
for
Yes.
next week.
I mean, I could probably go online and learn a little bit, but I'm sure there's a presentation with a lot
We
more
can
detail
give
and
you
background behind it.
reports, like reports
Yes,
with the
please.
data that will
More data,
help
the
you
better,
like-
for me anyway, I like
Sure.
data.
Yeah, we can pull that together, absolutely.
We know you do, Mike.
You want Mike's vote, you gotta have tables, charts.
Yeah.
Yes,
We
pretty
got-
pictures,
We got your tables and
graphs,
charts.
charts,
Okay,
thank you.
thank you, Commissioner. Next, I have Commissioner Cavell, followed by Commissioner Powell.
Yeah, Mr. Woodward.
Oh, did Commissioner Woodward, oh, he does have his hand up. Hi there, Commissioner Woodward. You can be next.
Okay, real quick. And then just some of the questions is like one place to get a lot of great information. I was actually talking to Dr. Mona earlier today. She would probably be here. She's actually in Lansing. I think they just finished up a press conference looking for a statewide funding stream to support this. So to get to Commissioner Spitz's point, like what's the sustainability? She was there with a package of bills, I believe, being introduced. And so she's incredibly enthusiastic. I think most people know she's also an Oakland County resident that lives in Bloomfield. And if you go to rxkids.org, there is all the information you could imagine. So I heard about the name of the program. RX Kids is a prescription for health, hope, and opportunity, and that's the branding of the program. And so if you go to that website, and staff, we can make sure that staff sends it around. I think all the detailed information, including a very nice video of Dr. Mona herself talking about the program. So it's really exciting. So I just wanted to share that information as a quick place to go to get all the information you possibly could need.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Commissioner. Next, we have Commissioner Cavell, followed by Commissioner Powell.
Thanks. I was gonna say a bunch of stuff about this, but they already did a good job. But the thing that really made me put my name on the list was, it's cool that you said, Mike, about caring about the kids, and Gwen's gonna hate this, but remember when we were on EDI? Because this makes a lot of sense. Like, my first 6 months on this job, you and me worked together on that childcare scholarship. And, Gwen hated it, but that was
So
cool.
that's-
I see you now. I see you now
Another gold
better,
star.
because you said.
We agreed twice.
I know, exactly, but I'm just saying, that's cool, bro, I get you now. I'm seeing you more, so
Thanks,
respect,
technology.
that's all.
That's
That was
your
a
only
good
comment? Okay.
Yeah, that's it.
Commissioner Powell.
Yeah, because I was a little nervous. I was about to tell you, can you let me go for
Before him,
Because this is his, he kind of was one of the brainchilds behind helping with this, RX. But, I'm excited that this program is coming. I'm excited to hear that it is partnering with all the resources that we offer in our nursing program. As you all may not, some of y'all may not know, I was a product of that 19 years ago when the nurses came and monitored and came to my house, taught me how to be a good mom, all of that stuff. So I think that's great. Now, one thing I do want to bring up is I want to make sure with OSHA, because I sit on their board, staffing has always been an issue over there. So I just want to make sure if we're partnering with them that we don't have the staffing. Are we bringing in people or are we, using current staff? But just to keep that on our radar with the staffing. And then I'm also happy to hear that, with the WIC and we got other avenues to try to catch these moms. Because for me, I was in WIC. I got childcare assistance. So I was one of those moms that had to take all this assistance when I had my daughter. I did not have the finances when my daughter was born. I worked a job. They did not give us the 6 weeks pay. So this money, or whatever, the cash assistance or whatever with this program is gonna help tremendously in that space. So I'm excited about that. But one thing I did bring up with Charlie is, I just want to make sure that whatever they are spending, it is meaningful needs in their life. And not just, cause I'm gonna say this too, we got irresponsible parents. At the end of the day, you give them some extra money, they may go use it for something else. And we know you have more essential needs that you need to be taken care of with your own daily life. So I just wanted to make sure, so I was happy to hear that y'all at least tracking, most of it was housing, food. We need to be able to track that as well, of their spending. Hold on, just before you go, wait, sorry, I'm almost done. TANF, what is that?
Yeah.
What is TANF?
So TANF is a program that's temporary assistance for needy families.
Oh,
It's
okay.
basically the
Okay.
I wanted to know the
product of.
acronym
Okay.
too.
I heard you a little bit, so I was like,
Yeah.
I'm gonna ask, don't know.
Yeah, they
Sorry
know the
about that,
acronyms.
acronyms.
I love
Yeah,
knowing the
no, and that's fine, but we
Yeah.
hearing you, but I wanted to call a question, cause
Yeah.
I don't know what a TANF is,
Yeah.
okay? So that's great, and OSHA, one thing I wanted to know, I'm very interested in just seeing how this go. I'm happy that it's for 2 years. Can we get quarterly reporting?
Sure.
Please. Quarterly
Absolutely.
reporting, okay, great. Thank you.
So on your question about ULSA, way the program works, first of all, built into the calculations and estimates of cost are a very small amount of capacity for ULSA to be able to have somebody assigned to this, so new capacity for them. But the really remarkable thing about this program is that it comes with the infrastructure of the statewide RX Kids program. So we do not have to do the program development and design work that exists because of the work that Dr. Mona and Dr. Luke Schaefer have done at Michigan State and at the University of Michigan. And we get a boots on the ground staff member from an organization called Give Directly that operationalizes how the money goes out to folks. So that is capacity that additional, like a wonderful thing about this program is it brings that capacity into our community, attached both to ULSA and to the RX program.
Got it.
And I'll say like in the Oakland Connects, just to add to the, making sure like where moms are spending the money and how, with our Oakland Connects program, the model has been that any place where a resident is getting some sort of benefit, we can be there to help support that so that, okay, you got a new key to your new house, but how do you hold on to that key, right? That's where our Oakland Connects coordinators come in because they help and stay next to this person and help connect them to programs so that they can eventually find that footing. Data from Flint has shown that majority of them, actually primarily all of the money has been spent on housing, it's food, you wanna say it?
Yeah, so the top 6 cash prescription spend categories and the evaluations that are coming out of Flint are baby supplies, food, rent, utility bills, clothing, and transportation to medical appointments.
Okay, that's good.
So one more question. With the utilities and stuff, do you all, cause some of them programs, we have funding that helps, so do we like maximize on what help is coming and then we funnel in? Are we doing that to make sure we maximize the free
This is why
dollars?
Oakland Connects is there,
Got
right?
it.
Because
Okay.
Our community health.
Okay,
our
perfect.
community health workers help make sure we are maximizing what's offered to our residents.
Okay.
That's a service that's available.
Okay. Well, I'm just excited. I'm so happy we have this to help the moms, cause I was one, so I'm excited.
Yeah, anybody else? I like the program too. I'm really interested in seeing how it goes in its first year. I just wanna throw out a statistic that I read yesterday, which is that 60% of all the births in America are Medicaid births. 60% of all the births in the United States are Medicaid births. So just keep that little nugget in your head.
Yeah, it is everywhere.
Okay, with that, let's prompt vote, please.
Diapers. We got people doing diaper drives now. To help the mamas. I didn't have to buy some for mamas.
We should actually have one of those here at the county, just to bring, diaper collection.
I'll start the conversation. It's great. Thank you. Oh, no.
All right, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you.
ladies.
Motion
Thank you.
carries.
Thank you.
Yeah, my friend just did it. She got so much.
Okay.
Okay, next we have item 8B, creation of 2 seasonal law clerk intern positions.
I had wanted to see if I could co-sponsor that with you. The
Which one?
RX one?
Yeah,
Okay,
talk
great.
to Mike.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Sure. Sponsorship of the 5th annual, or creation of 2 seasonal law clerk intern positions to support the Public Defender's Office, sponsored by Commissioner Long, supported by Commissioner Cabell.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. So my name is Pete Mena. I manage Oakland County's indigent defense system. This is a very simple request to create 2 seasonal law clerk positions. Essentially, HR has always run a intern program where different departments could hire a summer intern. Because the Public Defender's Office is relatively new, they did not have those budgeted positions. So HR says, well, you can hire these people, but you have to have the positions in your budget. We did confirm with the state that this is appropriate to fund through our current grant. So we have the dollars through our current grant to fund these 2 positions. And then we will, of course, include them going forward on all of our annual grant submissions.
I'll open it up to the floor. Seeing no questions, let's prompt vote.
Her name is Ms. Wise. Yeah, I know her as
Thank you.
Thank you.
Short and sweet.
Thank you. Motion 6-0. Motion carries.
Read the stuff in the packet though.
Next up, we have item 8C, sponsorship of the 5th annual Madison Heights Juneteenth Festival.
No.
Jumping the gun.
You're next after this.
was part of that too.
I went to a big fundraiser out in Northville last summer, for something totally unrelated to the county, and this guy taps me on the shoulder and he says, "Hi Gwen," and I looked at him and I went, I know you, and it was Rod, but so out of context, and he was relatively new, so, yeah. It's one of the. It's
got
together
visual
for
aids.
the historical commission.
Hi.
Hi there.
Good afternoon.
I need a motion, sorry. Moved by Commissioner Smith Charles, supported by Commissioner Powell. Okay.
Okay, hi. It's an
Hi.
interesting perspective being on this end of the table. So, all right, so you all know me. I'm Commissioner Ann Erickson Gull representing District 3, which includes Madison Heights. And we are here to talk about the Madison Heights Juneteenth celebration and ask for you to renew your sponsorship to Juneteenth. As you recall, last year, the Board of Commissioners generously sponsored this event. And I don't know if we were able to get the video queued up. There was a wonderful video. Why don't we go ahead and start with that so you can see an idea of what our money went to.
We're here celebrating freedom at the 4th annual Madison Heights Juneteenth celebration, and it's just grown steadily since. We've been embraced by the community. It's grown into an event that attracts people from all over the Metro Detroit area.
It truly represents diversity and inclusion. It's all about celebrating other cultures and incorporating them into our city and recognizing all of our residents here.
The performance that I completed today was a poem by the name of Freedom, and it was just a historical understanding and representation of what the history of Juneteenth is and the importance of celebrating this day.
What we get to do is celebrate and also push forward and push for more progress and recognition. We also have to reckon with the original sin in our country of slavery. And so we are doing that today here in beautiful Madison Heights. This is what it's all about.
You know, one of the missions of our nonprofit, Madison Citizens United, has been to promote conversations about race and racial reconciliation. And we think an understanding and an awareness of Juneteenth is part of that. And that's kind of really what we're trying to project into the community.
Come on down next year to Juneteenth in Madison Heights. It's relaxing, the music's good, the food's good.
My favorite performer has got to be Smoke and his band. They get the crowd going, so I'm super excited to see them perform.
We've had tremendous generosity out of our sponsors. This event's paid for entirely by donations, run completely by volunteers. This is something that we need to bring to the people of Madison Heights, and it's been our pleasure to do that the last 4 years.
So, I'm sorry, I neglected to introduce who is with me. Kevin Wright, who you saw in the video earlier, who's,
Good catch,
what's your title?
I'm the president of the board of directors of Madison Heights Citizens United.
And why don't you go ahead and introduce yourself?
I'm Michael Howard. I'm one of the board members of Madison Heights, and I have the privilege of being on the other side of DeQuinder from Anna Erickson Gall as a Macomb County Commissioner.
So, and Michael and Kevin have been there since the beginning. Kevin, could you explain how this event came to be?
Sure, I'd be happy to. But first I have to say, as an aside, when we said the pledge, I work in a second grade classroom. So it's the first time in many years that I haven't had to tell everyone to sit down and quit talking during the pledge, so thank you. Basically, in 2020, my boys are teenagers now, but my kids were younger, and I would take a Facebook vacation. I would say I'm gonna take the rest of the summer off from Facebook so we could go camping and do things. And that summer, on my birthday, May 25th, I announced I was taking my Facebook vacation, not that any of my people cared, but I told them anyway. And a couple days later, I got back on and said, I'm coming back on, and I've got a specific reason, and it was after the death of George Floyd. And I talked to my wife, who's African American. I said, we gotta do something. We can't just sit silent anymore. So I just put a simple Facebook post that said, I'm gonna go out in front of Madison Heights City Hall on 13 Mile with an American flag and a sign that says, George Floyd didn't deserve to die. And we invited people to come join us. To be honest with you, this was like 3 days after he died. And to be honest with you, we thought it'd just be the two of us out there. But the post ended up getting shared hundreds of times. And a couple hundred people showed up the next Saturday, May 30th. A lot of people came to us afterward and said, we wanted to participate, but we couldn't for whatever reason. Can you do another peaceful protest? And it was always a peaceful protest that was going to support George Floyd's family. And we made that clear from the start. We were exercising our right to assemble and peacefully protest. So we did one the following week, but it was a little more structured. We had speakers, and even more people came out and got some local news coverage. And again, people said again, will you do another protest? And my wife and I talked, said, the symbolism is over now. We did the two protests. We want to do something more concrete now. So we created a Facebook page called Madison Heights Citizens United. We asked people to join us, and we're going to make our aim talking about race and racial reconciliation. And from that genesis, we held 36 events virtually and online. This was during COVID when we first started, where we've had everything from ice cream socials and coffee gatherings to our signature event is the Juneteenth celebration. The Juneteenth celebration itself, the City of Madison Heights, after in the summer of 2020, created a Human Relations and Equity Commission. And I was fortunate to be appointed to that commission. And one of the first times I brought up on our first meeting was, I think the city should have a Juneteenth celebration. I think it's a culturally relevant holiday that has been overlooked for too long. I think it's something we can bring to our residents and people around the area. And there's a lot of uncertainty that first year with COVID. Wasn't even sure it was gonna come off until March, but we forged and kept planning. We had our first celebration in 2021. The next year, our group, Citizens United and Sea, co-sponsored the celebration. The following year in 2023, Massachusetts Citizens United, our nonprofit, took over, and we've been hosting it since. That was the genesis of the festival, and I think it's really grown from an event that the first year grew, that drew maybe 600 people as a rainy day, into evolved into really a regional event that attracts people from all over Oakland County, all over the Metro Detroit area. And we appreciate the generosity of our sponsors, the Board of Commissioners. Because as I said, I think it's a celebration that we want to bring to our people, Massonites in Oakland County, just to share our history.
Go ahead.
I can just add to the impact of it. For a lot of reasons, it's, I think for obvious, like this is an impactful event. But for me, when I first met Kevin, it was because of this Facebook post. We were not connected, didn't know him from the random person walking outside. And I just felt like, frankly, if this white man is gonna stand out on the corner to advocate against a critical issue in that time, I don't want him to stand alone. And I was blown away that when I showed up to this corner, there was 200-300 people out there. And meeting with Kevin and the team and joining the Juneteenth celebration, I know we're called Madison Heights Citizens United, and this is called Madison Heights Juneteenth celebration, but it has grown to be a regional event. I'm across the border in DeQuinder, but our church is in Southfield. I have many church members that say, I've never been to Madison Heights ever. I didn't know, I didn't know anything about it, but now there's like a family, like their family regularly comes to Madison Heights now. And so there's an economic value to this. It is a cultural value to this because it has brought the Tri-County area to one of the smallest cities in Oakland County and the southern end to focus on how do we move together as one. And through an odd series of steps, I would have never honestly ran for office if it wasn't being able to see how government can help change the positive momentum in our country if I wasn't a part of this unit. So additionally, we now have a Juneteenth celebration in Warren, and that is the child of the Juneteenth in Madison Heights. And so as we say, this is Madison Heights Juneteenth celebration. It is by far a regional event. We know folks that drove well over an hour last year to come to the Madison Heights Juneteenth celebration.
Can I add one thing to that? Because Michael and I have talked to groups before about our celebration, and usually he says, when he's talking about seeing me standing out there, it's this crazy old white guy. And I always tell people, I don't take exception to the crazy, it's the old part that I do. So.
Well, I was trying to be a little bit more formal today, you know.
Well, welcome to all of you. Anybody have any questions? Commissioner Powell.
I don't have any questions. I just want to say thank you, sir, for stepping out and doing that. I just, growing up, my dad, I tell people in my community, some of the stuff that's going on, I can't relate because I grew up in love. At the end of the day, I was loved on as a kid. So when all this racial stuff and everything's going on, actually I was kind of shied away from it and didn't learn about it until I really got older and more so in my adult years. But I commend a lot of, I would say this, Caucasians who do step up and try to help communities like ours or just help us from a cultural space. Because also I explained to my district that if I didn't have a lot of like-minded leadership that just care for Pontiac, and even with my commissioners, some of us, they just care for the city, care what's going on. And not all Caucasian people is, that way. So they're not against us culturally. They are trying to lift up our community as well. So thank you, sir, and thank you, Commissioner, for making it happen over in Warren. And thank you, Ann, for bringing this to us to sponsor, because this is something new. Juneteenth, Pontiac just finally got on board to start celebrating there. So just thank you. Thank you.
May I just say, we have a mutual friend who's a city councilor in Madison Heights who says it's hard to hate up close. And that's really, you know, Juneteenth is a big event, draws a couple thousand people. That's why we have the smaller events, so people can get together. And our hashtag is glad to be your neighbor. So it's people get together and talk and find the commonality, so thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you, I just want to go on record.
Thank you, Commissioner.
And I would just like to add that, on a side note, there is, as you saw, the Board of Commissioners does get credit and signage to indicate our sponsorship. We also are entitled to have a exhibit booth, which we weren't able to take advantage of last year, but I'm hoping this year that I can reach out to whatever county department might be interested in putting up a display and reaching
Talk to
out.
our communications group and they will help coordinate with Leanne and.
I was glad Leanne was here, because that's the first person I was gonna call.
A big part of the celebration, we've been a component of a food truck rally, but we have a Juneteenth pop-up. We have small business vendors, but also nonprofits in the county, so it'd be part of a larger group of vendors where people are coming attracted to that event.
Really appreciate it, so you know. All right, I love this too, and the fact that you have a history of growth here in the last 5 years is a really great indicator that, you know, people are interested, people are looking for stuff to do, very much about cross-pollination across our communities, and it's a really good thing, so, at least in my view. So let's go ahead and prompt the vote.
All communities don't support it.
Okay, motion carries. Thank you very much for coming in today.
Wanting to go through. My mama used to work, you know, she hated driving.
All right, our next item is item 8D, amendment to the Information Technology Government to Government Program. I'll take a motion, moved by Commissioner Spiz, supported by Commissioner Taylor.
Right. Sorry for the earlier confusion. It's bad for the brand, but the IT guy was using a paper. Good afternoon. So we've got a couple of changes that we wanted to propose to our government-to-government point of sale system. It's a little bit, I guess the one thing that I've learned so far today is that, you know, I feel like I'm here a lot with IT. And a lot of the things that we talk about are technical and kind of behind the scenes. It's tough to connect with. So it's nice to see that, you know, our work is always kind of in support of the agencies, but it's kind of cool to see that we're helping kids and we're helping communities come together. Anyway, I'll take the opportunity to let Marango introduce herself.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. For those I've not met, my name is Kim Marango. I am the Director of Application and Client Services here at Oakland County. Today, I am here to talk about the Government to Government program, also known as G2G. If you're not familiar with what this program, it currently provides government agencies with the ability to accept credit and debit card payments for online, over-the-counter payments, and certain pay-by-phone transactions that we do. We're also excited that as we're doing some technology upgrades, that in the future, we're also gonna be able to offer digital wallet payments as something that people can do as we continue to move forward in this technology and in this environment. Currently, there are 55 Oakland County cities, villages, and townships, or I'll refer to them as CVTs in the future, and 83 external agencies, including clemency agencies, that have access to this program and can use this program by signing up through these service agreements that we have, the IT service agreement. If you're not familiar with where we might use this, it may be for current tax and delinquent tax payments. It may be for departmental over-the-counter payments if you're coming in for a service. It could also be for court systems such as Court Explorer or Vital Records, e-tickets. Those are all examples of where we take these types of payments. The current version of the service agreement that is out there today and active today has a tiered fee structure in it that has been around for over 20 years. So it's structured in a way that the pricing is for transactions that are between $0 and $50, you pay a $2.50 fee. As you go up in ranges to $50 to $100, that fee changes to $4. That fee structure has been around since for over 20 years. And what we're proposing in today's structure is that we change from that tiered fee structure to a 3.5% fee for everything that goes through. That will be beneficial, I think, to residents because they will see that they are paying 3.5% on the price of the item they're purchasing. And if you're somebody coming in and making a $10 purchase, $2.50 feels pretty large right now, and moving to that 3.5% would be a good feeling, and it would be aligned to industry best practices and standards for how people apply fees for credit card transactions today. The other piece of this is to stop a program that's considered sharing of the net fee collected by CTVs or agencies where the transaction occurs. And this again is part of that agreement that's been in place for 20 years. So with that current model, we are currently running this program at a deficit. In 2023, the deficit was $450,000. In 2024, the deficit was $540,000. The deficit changes because the program changes cost every year. Depending on the number of transactions we do, that changes the amount of service fee that comes in. It also changes how much we have to pay out to the different vendors that we work with for the software, for the hardware, for the cost of running all of the maintenance on the program. But the number of credit card transactions that we're doing is increasing from year to year, and so that variance is driving up. The sharing is also a big part of what causes that variance to happen. So in the resolution today, we are asking to go ahead and remove that from the program. We're asking to go to a 3.5%. And then we are planning to do some upgrades to the program that will pass along equipment fees to our external agencies where they will have to buy new credit card readers. For each external agency, that's a few $100s to a few $1,000s depending on the number of credit card readers that they have. For Oakland County departments and Oakland County CVTs, we will cover that cost as part of the overall program cost that we have. I'm sure you have questions about what the impact of eliminating the enhanced fee will be on top of the CVTs and the external agencies that use it today. Of the number of CVTs and external agencies that could participate in the program, there's currently 29 Oakland County CVTs and 50 external agencies who are participating for the electronic payment system and receiving a portion of the fees collected back. 26% of the fee is shared with CVTs inside of Oakland County, and 75% of the money is going to external agencies outside of the county. In 2024, we shared $706,000. $525,000 of that left the county, $181,000 was within the county. If you were to look at the distribution of how that money is spent, the CVTs inside the county, approximately 65% of them receive less than $5,000 in an annual distribution back. There are a couple of outliers at the high end. We have one that's getting $55,000, and the next two highest are in between $10,000 and $15,000. So we have 3 of the 26 that receive more than $15,000, and everybody else is less. Conversely, if you were to look at the external agency, 55% are receiving more than $5,000. At the high end, we have one city that's receiving on average $90,000 back, and 9 additional agencies that receive over $20,000 back. We do have a breakdown of all of the organizations if that is desired to see, but a majority of the county CVTs are somewhere in the $1,000 or less range in terms of what they receive. So we see this as a smaller impact to those organizations. By stopping this, we can get the program solvent again, and we can manage within our budget without increasing.
Kim, I'd like to add something. We looked at this, quite honestly, back during COVID in 2020. Actually, prior to COVID, this was on the table to reform this because we were upside down. We've been upside down in a lot of programs over at IT, Clemis being one of them. This was another program, great program, when G2G started. But the innovations in the financial world have changed, but we didn't change with it. And so we need to get caught up, and we need to help the other CVTs and industries understand that there's other models out there. We're proposing that we're putting this in for our departments. One of our key departments that has spoke highly of this and is looking for this is our county treasurer. Welcomes this with open arms, that we need to get new equipment into our department. So that's first and foremost. Our CVTs, there was an opportunity to share some of the revenue as they collected the revenue as well on these fees, and that was part of the motivation in the past. But we have a vendor in place that if they don't want to come into this model, they can piggyback, which is allowed under state law, off of this contract and have their own model and keep all of the fees themselves, as well as the external agency. It's obviously your prerogative as the commission to decide whether you want to subsidize CVTs within this county. Totally get that. But what we should not be doing is sending tax-paying dollars in subsidization to CVTs outside of the county. And so that has been kind of a collateral damage to this program once it got upside down. We're subsidizing those other organizations outside of the county. That cannot happen, and that is one of the reasons that we started that conversation in 2020. And obviously, when we went through a lot of things with COVID that got put on the back burner, I would say not even on the back burner, it was pulled off the stove, completely. And I think Rod and Kim coming in is like, hey, we need to revisit this because we're still upside down. And she shared the numbers with you. 350 upside down, not acceptable. 500,000, not acceptable. We can't be running deficits like that. We need to run this like a business. And in Clemis, we'll be getting in front of you in regards to Clemis as well. Clemis is a fantastic program. We're 100% behind that. And we're moving in a direction to make that solvent as well. I just wanted to make sure that I was imparting and giving the big picture on what Kim was talking about.
Okay, thank you. All right, I'll start with Commissioner Long, followed by Commissioner Spiz, and then Commissioner Cavell.
Okay, thank you. So I'm not a big fan of fees, and the 3.5 to me seems steep. My fellow commissioner sitting here says no, but I think the most I've paid at a business is 1.5 because I'll get out my old checkbook. I'm just cheap on that fees. So as a business, in my former business, when you take the credit card, we just added it on to the cost of the merchandise and don't charge a fee. People just feel better. It's just like when you go to an event and there's parking. If you can get away with not charging a parking fee and charge your admission fee, you just feel better not paying parking. I mean, that's just the general. So my question is some businesses, because a lot of businesses don't add a fee yet. I mean, they just put it in their cost of their items, that figuring whatever percentage, 80% probably or 75 charge now. That's just the fact of life. They just add it into their cost and then you don't pass on the fee. Is that something that you guys considered? Because 3.5 to me seems a lot, like for a government to charge. Because is this for taxes too? So when you pay your property tax?
The bulk
it'll
of
be
it is for
3.5?
property taxes.
That's what I thought.
Yeah.
So maybe I'm old fashioned, I write my check and go into my municipality.
And that's great, and people
Say
have that
hi,
option. They
hi,
can pay cash and write the check if they don't want
Yeah.
to use the credit card.
Right, but I'm just, 3.5 was kind of like, oh, it took me back a little. It was pretty steep for government. I get it,
So I will say that 20 years ago when this was established, or over 20 years ago when this was established, if you're spending over $1,000, 2.75% was the established percentage fee for those transactions.
And I do not remember how I voted on that. This year.
So
I probably might have voted no, because I used to vote no on every fee, so I don't know, I've changed a little over the year, but fees, because I just feel like we provide a service, add it into your cost, we're a government service, no fee, fees a tax, to me, this is just my philosophical, so this is where I'm coming at, so I would personally rather have a charge and not say it's a fee, just make the charge more.
Maybe we have one millage that's just for operations of the county. Would you be into that then? Just to make
I
sure we
don't know
don't
if
have to fee people to death, we just have one operator.
Yeah, I don't know, the people would have to vote on a millage, but, yeah, I don't know. But,
We'll keep
I'm
working
saying
on
we
that.
provide services at 3.5, so I don't know if I'm on board with this one, so I'll let Commissioner Spiz talk. Thank you.
Can I respond to your
Yes.
question piece of that? So we did have a conversation about, do you incorporate it? But I think there's two pieces to that. The first is if you do choose to come write a check, now you're paying the processing fee that you didn't have to process. Because the price of the item includes the price of the fee to do the credit card processing. The second piece is that when you're looking at the taxes that are for over $1,000, it's not, I mean, again, that could become pretty high if we start baking that in if you're writing a check. So we're not necessarily doing people a favor if they're choosing.
Right, but I don't remember ever paying a fee when I write a check, it's just, or is it already on your?
That's what I'm saying,
When
you're
I go
not.
into like the municipality, you don't pay a fee,
But what
right?
she's
It's just on,
saying is
if you come to the county, you pay a
No,
fee?
she's saying if you wanna go that concept and built it in, now you just
Oh.
included, so now you paying for it anyway.
Right, I get what you're saying,
Yeah,
okay, I'm
that's what
sorry, I
she's
missed,
saying.
okay, okay.
So
Okay,
she's
so
saying,
there's
would
a-
you like that?
Yes, there's another, right, I get it, I'm just throwing out my opinion, you know, I wanna hear both sides, so that's good, you know, I'm just deciding, thank you. Go ahead, Mike. I think you're next.
Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you all for coming in. Can I get a copy of those pretty graphs and numbers that you have? Because I know they're not in our packet.
Yep.
I stated earlier, I like
I do too.
the graphs and charts so I can refer to them. Good
You can
idea
send
with
that
the numbers
afterwards.
you presented so I can,
For the
Process it.
municipalities, the numbers for the municipalities,
yeah, inside and out, just to process it. Yeah,
I think we probably all want those.
most of these charges, if I'm not mistaken, for people, if not all charges, for people using our credit cards, paying online, doing this and this. You guys know off the top of your head what the credit card companies charge us to charge that credit card? Because we pay a fee.
Yes, and so this covers the 3% fee that we have. We have a, yeah, as
We
part
get,
of
we
the
get charged a 3% fee. And do we only still accept MasterCard and Visa? We do not do American Express. Is that still true, or do everybody?
American Express is like 5%,
That's
so
high.
that's
That's
why
why I'm asking this
businesses
question.
don't,
So
yeah.
I wanna step back for a second. We're not paying individual fees based on the type of credit card that a person uses. We have an agreement with a bank processing that charges us a fee for
Right.
doing the processing. So
Correct,
we are
and they
only
pay that fee.
paying, yes.
So do we accept,
Discover
All
probably,
of
yes.
them.
do we accept all cards or only certain cards? Because if I recall, we only accept certain cards.
I don't actually have that piece of information. I would have to
Probably
send
not
that back to
American
you
Express,
after.
it's 5%.
Yeah. it's
Nobody
4%.
takes, that's why people don't
Discovery
take
is
it,
only
businesses.
I think it's only 2 cards. Okay.
Yeah.
I just wanted to clarify that because that's what I thought. Thank you.
Oh, I have Discover only, I wouldn't give it.
Okay, Commissioner Goodall.
My big question is, Mike, are you paying property tax on your Amex?
I gotta get
Bro,
my
that's
miles
not
somehow.
sustainable.
Yeah,
Okay, no,
that's what I'm saying, that's why no one takes it.
no, my question is, kind of to what Chris was saying, just about the transparency of this. I understand and respect the need for making sure our departments are solvent and the services we provide are funded adequately and fully. But this 3.5%, I can imagine just for customer service sake and people respecting and appreciating their government, is there any thought to, or can there be an option when bringing up the, okay, your property taxes are $2,000 or whatever. Then you click to the next page and then there will be the 3.5%. And of course that comes up already, but saying like, this is not the county profiting off of you. We have a merchant that we use as the POS or whatever that we have to charge you the breakdown of the 3.5 is 3% goes to processing, 0.5 is to the solvency or maintenance of the system. Is it, that's something that can or
We can
will
certainly work through whatever language is appropriate for
That's a good idea.
disclaimers
Yeah.
on the site.
Communicating.
Yeah,
The
just
3.5.
'cause- yeah, the
People
worst
don't
thing is,
understand.
right, cause people paying their property taxes online, I can imagine it's like the last day, they're stressed,
Right.
it's thousands of dollars. And I go, great, 3.5%,
Right.
fucking Oakland County. But being able to say, oh, it's that merchant processing fee,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay,
and
alright.
I do wanna just remind, there is already a fee structure in place.
Sure.
This is just
Yeah.
changing that
Right.
fee structure.
Understood.
Right.
Understood, okay, thank you for that touching on, and then Sean, can you talk more about, if I heard right, when you were talking about us subsidizing other communities, that's with the enhanced access network?
Well, that was, what was your number? Is it, how many are outside? I thought she said 83.
76% of the dollars that get shared back to an external agency outside of the county.
And we're hoping with this to stop that sharing
We will stop that sharing.
with external and Oakland counties. Is there, not just local government to local government, if some of these municipalities have, I don't know if these are big places or not, but a $90,000, let's say to Ferndale, that's the whole CDBG budget, which we use for code enforcement, it's like 3 jobs. Or a job and a half plus a car, right? Like that, is there going to be a staggering of this, or is this just next week they're gonna get a letter that says, next year you're out?
No, so first of all, nobody in local is
Sure.
90-some
Yeah,
thousand
I get
dollars.
you.
Most of them are less than $5,000. Secondly, we would go through, once the board approves, we would go through a communication to all of the contacts for the program in all of the participating counties, letting them know what we're doing and what their options are, as to whether or not they'd like to stay with us or they'd like to do their own contract. And then we would make this change at the beginning of 2026.
Okay, so they have a year to.
And this would be interlocal agreements.
Yes, and these are interlocal agreements that they.
Back in front of you guys.
Okay, and like you had said, Sean, there's other options or vendors that they could choose from
Yeah, I
and make
mean,
it.
even the people that we contracted with, if they wanna take this in-house and do it themselves, they just didn't have that capability 20-some years ago. The county provided that service, called it G to G, government to government. It was a great idea, but the technology has changed. And like government, unless we stay on top of this and we don't change with the technology, it doesn't make sense. We get upside down like we are here. And so they have the capability, if they wanna bring that in-house internally, they can.
Okay, thank you, yeah.
Commissioner Smith Charles.
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to elevate that, of course, I've used the kiosk to pay tags and tabs and things at the state, and it's certainly a convenience fee. And on top of that, if you use a card, you also pay a user service fee. So it's a percent, and then there's a hard, like a dollar amount. This is not new to humans living in society today. Like, we understand that there's a fee when you use a credit card.
Yeah.
To the vendor, to the business, and so those costs do get pushed to the consumer. Where I would push back on putting it all in one cost is that would be less transparent. If now it's like, well, you owed $2,500, but now you're gonna pay $2,578. Then I could have made the choice to bring cash or to bring a check. And so I definitely don't want us to subsidize. I definitely want us to be in the black and to be good fiduciary with people, responsible and all. So that's my only thing is, and I've made the decision to come up here or mail my tax bill via check, just because I didn't want to pay that processing fee. And I encourage people, get a checkbook. Like, it's not taboo. It's actually very convenient, especially at the grocery store. It'll keep your spending kind of keep your spending down.
I hardly write checks anymore, but I do.
And then
One conversation, please. I'm sorry.
yeah, I think that was it. And then I just wanted to be clear, because I went to the counties just because the clerk seemed the most appropriate, where I know people do spend money. And of course, at the treasurer's office, where did
They
it go?
have 4 credit cards. They do accept MasterCharge,
Oh,
American
okay.
Express, Discover, and Amex.
And it looks like they're already doing 3%. Are we all doing 3%? And then it's gonna go to 3.5.
Today, we've got a rate structure in place that says if it's between $1 and $50, it's $2.50, which is like, if you're only paying $10, it's a 250% charge.
I probably misspoke. This is actually the e-filing for like court documents.
Oh, yes, okay. Yeah, that's different.
It's a little different.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, so today you've got a rate structure in place where, and this is, I think, where, Sean, you're getting the 86% number. 86% of the transactions we do are for $200 or less at a time. Those people are all paying, if you were to percentage that out at the $2.50, the $4 or the $8 charge, they're paying more than 3.5% of what they are purchasing.
Saving them money, Chris.
I'm all set, thank you.
I'm on the fence on this, one more.
Okay, one more question.
One more question, because I'm on the fence for this. So on that, the 3%, you said it's the bank, and I understand that. 0.5, is that for our programming or, because our staff's already there.
Right.
So is that like our computer
So we
programming?
have
and-
hardware, software, maintenance costs associated with managing all of that, any upgrades that we have to do to
Okay.
maintain the overall systems that we have, plus we have the transaction charge to the bank.
Okay. Good, thank you.
Okay, I don't have, Commissioner Cavell.
Maybe this'll help,
I know,
I'm trying to back you up. Do you like progressive taxation or regressive flat tax?
I know.
Cause this would be a flat tax instead of all these different tiers.
Yeah, I know.
So
That's
it's,
what I know, I realize too.
All right,
okay.
we wanna get this meeting moved quickly done. Sorry. Okay, if there's no other questions or comments, let's prompt the vote, please.
Dun, 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 dun. Dun, dun,
I
dun.
saw Brian Leffler was up there with his hand up, but he disappeared.
Because I thought it was 200. It's 10% they're paying.
Right.
They're paying 10%. If it's $2, they're paying 10% if they're paying $2. I'm good on percentages, see that?
There you go.
Smart with numbers.
You're practical, you do the math.
Okay, next up, we have item 8,
Throw the thought out.
the fiscal year 2025 first quarter forecast.
Madam Chair, what was the vote, please, for the last one?
7-0.
It was unanimous?
Yeah,
Chris uses data.
I use data, yeah.
And a little heartstrings.
Just throwing out.
Okay,
Hello, again, Cheryl Johnson, Deputy CFO.
let's take a motion before we
Sorry.
get too far along. Moved by Commissioner Taylor, supported by Commissioner Powell. Okay, there we go.
Okay, we're trying to help you move this along. Cheryl Johnson, Deputy CFO.
Brent Schraub, Chief of Budget.
So this is the quarterly report that we bring to you. We're obligated to bring this to you based on our GAA every year. Brings you up to speed with where we're at with our forecast. Really the page to note, there's a lot of detail in here. There's items that get written off, there's details for that. There's items that get donated, there's details for that. Those are both in the back. There are individual department pages, those are the colorful pages that talk about the total budget, favorable, unfavorable. And the page that we kind of focus on is page 14, which is the summary of the revenues and expenditures. So a couple things I just wanna bring your attention to. If we look in the second column from the right, it is the amount favorable and unfavorable. At this point for the first quarter, we are anticipating favorability of $881,000. The bulk of that really is coming from investment income. We've been a little conservative in our budgeting for the investment income just because of the unsure nature of things that have been going on. And then if we go down towards the bottom of the page, we'll see that we are $15 million favorable in our expenditures by department. You'll see the expenditures by department. So that makes us, let me see, I wrote this down wrong. That makes us $4 million favorable. And our intent was to take 10 million out of planned use. We haven't had to do that yet, so the full favorability is $15 million. I do wanna say that as with Brent on board, one of the things we're gonna be working on is revising this report so that it's easier to understand where we're at, cause I realize that sounds confusing, cause we're the other thing.
Anticipates questions, that's good.
Yes, he over there like. Sorry, Cheryl.
No, that's fine. The worst part is I concentrate on this and I look at it and I still makes me a little confused. The other page I wanna point to is page 24. It's a page we look at every quarter. It's the Sheriff's Office Department, and you'll see that we have We anticipate being within the budget for personnel.
Alright, bravo.
Say that part again, I'm sorry.
We anticipate being favorable break even in budget for the sheriff's department personnel piece. That was the piece that we talked about last year, has been kind of off
He's getting his calculator.
for a couple of years. And we've anticipated that and made some corrections to the budget, so we do anticipate that staying that way. And I don't know if you have any questions or if Brent has anything to add. This is just kind of baptism by fire here.
Commissioner Smith Charles.
Welcome. We got the spoiler about your position in EDI. My colleagues, go ahead and give us your fresh new title as of this morning, I think.
It's Chief of Budget.
Chief of Budget.
Yes.
That's a heavy crown wearing, heavy, there's the head that wears the crown moment there. But I wanted to just ask as far as like anomalies or anything that just, as I said in last meeting, was like a huh or a huh.
There really wasn't, cause that's kind of what I do when I look through it, when I do my review. Obviously, we are gonna continue to look at federal funding and see how that's affecting things. We're kind of doing forecasts. This was from the time frame of October 1st to the end of December. One of the other things that I really anticipate we'll doing is you'll be getting these reports a little timelier, because we're gonna try and, keep them. It takes us a couple weeks to close, and then it shouldn't be taking us 3 months to get the report out. So those are things that we anticipate changing as we build up our staff and become more robust in what people are doing, and it won't fall so much on one or two people's shoulders. We'll be able to spread it out. The federal funding, we're gonna continue to keep an eye on. I think at this point, there was nothing that we knew was affecting federal funding because this was before the new administration started, because it goes through December. So as we start having those conversations and looking at Q2, there's potentially some issues in here that you'll see, and we'll bring those to your attention. They won't be a surprise because we'll be brought to finance at every finance meeting.
Thank you. One final question, since we do have our technical folks here, is when it's taking you this much time, is it because it's, wet ink and writing things, or is there a tech tool that you're using or could be using?
We are struggling a little bit with some of our new tools to put the budget together, so that's part of it. Part of it is staffing. We haven't had Kim Coy, who was the chief of budgets, left at the end of June last year, right a week before we had to present our budget. So that was challenging, and just the way the timing has been laying out, I'm really not comfortable with. And so we're gonna start moving that forward. Some of it is gonna be the layout of the reports, because you'll notice that the bulk of the layout of these reports has not changed.
Right.
So when we need to work on our process of how things get through this body and then get into our system, that time frame needs to shorten significantly. And when that happens, that's when we'll start seeing some shortness of more accurate, timely reporting. Let me say that.
Okay, I appreciate that. And Madam Chair, I do apologize because, Commissioner Spiz is getting all the sunshine on wanting graphs and charts, but I've been asking for graphs and charts too for a long time. And for me,
We can share.
And for me, this is, as an undiagnosed person with ADD, is incredibly hard to just.
Which one, Peter, you were to page 4?
The 67 spreadsheet, even if we could color code or anything, a chart, a graph.
To that point, Commissioner, full disclosure, I come from private sector. In my previous job, I was responsible for doing reporting and analytics for the largest mortgage company here in the United States. So I'm very familiar with being able to transition from a what I think is a pseudo-transparent very complicated document that you kind of have to learn how to read versus a chart or a graph that really puts it forward that everybody can interpret it. So what you're going to see, my goal is not only to fix some of those areas of opportunity, as I affectionately call them, where we can where we can we can work on our processes a little bit better, but also make sure that we're giving you information that's in a digestible format, that is actionable information that you can really rely on.
And those are things that you've seen little previews of when we did the UAW contract. You know, I gave you a chart of by department, by cost, by fund, this is how much it's gonna cost. Traditionally, what we've been providing is by account strength. I don't think you guys need that level of detail when you're looking at these changes. I think it makes more sense to give you the bottom line. So, you know, as you've said and as Brent said, it's more of an actionable item and you can look at it and see, you don't have to search through it. And I'm trying to use myself as a guide for this because I have to search through this stuff too. So Chairman and I have talked about making some of the changes in how some of the budget things are gonna come to the board. Obviously, we want to make sure that the board is on board with them, but now that we've got these folks in place, you're gonna start seeing those changes coming. And we welcome your input, obviously, all the time. Any suggestions we are definitely open
Spears,
to.
you heard that, huh?
I heard it.
Be the first one. I know.
All right. Any other comments or questions?
Mine, I did mine official.
He's on the list.
So did I.
I don't see your name
I don't
on the
see
list.
it. Well, damn computers are out to get me.
Talk to IT. Maybe he's here.
Thank you.
Am I up? Thank you,
You're
Madam
up.
Chair.
Yeah.
Thank you, good to see you.
You're on the
And I'm
list,
glad-
anyways.
Music to my ears, everything you just said, right? Because one of my big questions was, end of the first quarter was Christmas, New Year's. And here we are in March.
Yes.
We have to get much faster. I mean, in private sector, we're 15 days in after close is when it's presented to the executive management. So I don't know if you have a rough expectation on what your time frame is going to be after closure of each quarter to be in front of us, because realistically, after 3 months, it's too late to make decisions because the data's done.
We
Right, we're already in
close,
Q2.
we typically close the month accounting wise 20 days.
Okay,
So we are looking at ways to try and increase that. And then my hope is that the budget team will already be looking at their stuff. Historically, they haven't looked at it till the close. They didn't wanna do double work, but I don't think there's a lot of things happening after that close anyway. So this is one of the things that we are definitely gonna work on and, you know, part of the reason that Brett was selected as the candidate was, you know, his desire to make some of these processes efficient and make the changes.
all great to hear. My ask gonna be is for the first finance meeting after close. A month, 30 days after close. The first finance meeting, 30 days after close, let me put it that way, is what my ask is. That gives us time to review the data, and if we gotta push some things, we can push some things. And I'm all for graphs and charts, love to see graphs and charts, and that was gonna be my second comment, so you stole my thunder. So outside of that, I'll hold off my other questions until we get some of these things corrected.
Commissioner Cavell.
Thank you, Chair. First, we're not executive, so when you talk 15 days after whatever, we're not executive, we're board. So like,
We're
we're
higher
the
than
board of your.
executive, actually.
Co-equal, cause this is a democracy and this is, okay, so it's not the same as business, cause everyone gets a voice and there's not that hierarchy at that level, just saying. Quick question, the Pontiac Development Fund, what is the balance on that? Cause I saw on this, there's, some outflows.
I am not prepared to answer that,
Okay.
Commissioner Cavell, I
Thanks
apologize.
for your transparency, that's it. Second, where are we at with this?
I can tell you, we have not quite spent the entire 25 million, which was the first tranche from the state. But we meet every couple weeks, the group that's handling that, and they're very on top of it, so I'll make sure that you get that.
Thanks. The second thing is sheriff overtime. How do we look at that and where it is in terms of favorability or unfavorability? Cause I know we gotta keep track of that.
That is, you'll see that in here on page, I already turned it. page 24. And this is by category, so you won't see overtime, you'll see overtime grouped together with the personnel and the fringe benefits and overtime all in the green line that says personnel.
Okay.
And again, this does not show the actual spend, which is one of the things that we'll be adding to this. And just spoiler alert, what you'll see when the adopted budget book comes out in the next couple of weeks, it's at the printer, is we change the format. Instead of having all budget numbers, now you're gonna have 3 years of actuals and then some budget numbers. So that you'll be able to see what's been actually spent compared to what's been budgeted.
Okay, thank you. Does that then also mean, can you give updates on how we are with the overtime budget?
I can send them to you, I'm not prepared to do that.
Okay, could that start to be part of our quarterly?
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Overtime across the board, right, not just sheriff's department.
Sure.
Well, and
Actually, the last thing I'm gonna say will help elucidate how big of a deal that is. So, because I know you're new here to finance, so okay. I got you, bro.
So can I just clarify, do you just wanna see the details? So one of the things that we did with these summary sheets is we tried to make it, again, more digestible. So bear with us while we try and figure out what's more digestible and not enough information.
Sure.
So do you wanna see just the personnel broken out? Do you wanna see all the lines broken out?
No, just overtime.
Just overtime?
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you. And then a quick question, because you went to page 24, was we were unfavorable in contracted services with jail healthcare. It says primarily because there was not did not reflect the entire contract amount. So there's a question of what that means. And then also, I have read that WellPath, our healthcare provider, has filed bankruptcy.
That is correct. They have, and we're working with a bankruptcy judge. To go back to the first part of your question, what that means is when the budget was put together for the sheriff's office, they had a contract in place for increases and they weren't put in the budget. So it was an error on our part. We didn't take all the information that we had, so it wasn't budgeted enough based on the contract we already had in place. So that's why it says that it wasn't appropriately budgeted.
Okay.
The WellPath piece is in bankruptcy court. We're working with them and Brian is heading up that part of the project, working with them, trying to make sure that we are making and not making appropriate payments, because as you know, when someone files bankruptcy, you have to stop making payments. And so we're working through all that with the legal and the executive team.
Okay.
And we're trying to make sure, I believe, Brian hates that word. I believe that we're still using WellPath in the jail. Yes, yes. I believe that is correct. Thank you, Undersheriff. And so we are, but we do have a plan to try and figure out how to make sure that our inmates stay safe.
Thank you. Just want to lift up how when we were redoing the WellPath contract, how there was discussion of perhaps bringing that back in-house because of, especially with increased costs of employing people. They're kind of.
Let her go like this or like this?
Like that. So, okay, last thing, I just want to lift up because, just to help you out here, Mike, with your, making sure you get this help. I got you, no, I'm here for you, because I had to run through the gauntlet myself. None of these other folks, especially Gwen, helped me. Just want to lift up.
You never get called out.
Gwen, do you like these jokes?
No,
They're not funny to her, okay, noted. So if we just look at page 14, just to lift this up, just because I did this math. So we have.
Is it accurate?
Well, let me know. You do the math with me. So we have Department of Public Communications, so how we communicate with the public. We have emergency management and homeland security, so how we stay safe in emergencies. We have economic development, so how we help with workforce development, bringing and attracting and retaining talent. We have public services, which includes the animal shelter. We have Health and Human Services, so that's vaccinations, that's community health workers, that's the entire housing departments. We have HR, which keep our 5,000 employees happy and healthy. We have Facilities Management, which is working on all the facilities. We have County Executive Administration, which is all the people over there. We have the Water Resources Commissioner, which gives us clean drinking water. We have the Board of Commissioners, which is us. We have the Treasurer, which processes our property taxes. We have the Clerk, which makes sure that our elections are safe. And all of that adds up to being about exactly $210 million. And if we look at one line up, that's exactly the same amount as the Sheriff's Office. And as we just also heard in the last full board meeting, we have 3 of the 15 safest communities in America. So just want to give us context for where we're spending our money and what that does. Take it as you will.
Thank you, Commissioner. Commissioner Spiz, did you have something you wanted to add?
Yeah, I did. Thank you, Madam Chair. I appreciate it. Commissioner Cavell brought up a good point with the bankruptcy, and I don't know if there's an avenue, so I'm kind of asking here. Is there an avenue that when we do get vendors, other areas we can deal with on a regular basis that file for bankruptcy that actually could potentially put a financial burden on us as a county? Is there an avenue that we get that information to the Finance Committee or to the Board of Commissioners through another committee somehow? Just so we're aware of it, because I was not aware of that, so I appreciate that, Charlie. So I would like to have that information. Anytime we have something that's at risk for costing the county additional funds for whatever reason, I think we should be made aware of it.
And yes, so we do have a claims review policy that if there's a claim over a certain threshold, or actually all claims go to claims review, and then if it's over a certain threshold, it does come to the Finance Committee. So I could send you that policy.
I guess that's claims. I'm looking, when somebody files bankruptcy, we're at risk. That's not 2 claims yet.
So they did bring both those cases to claims. So I think in anticipation even of a claim, yes. But I can definitely follow up with you to.
Yeah, I'm just looking to understand the process. They all go through that, I'm fine, and before they come here, I just want to make sure we're getting that information eventually, so we can understand the risk.
No, absolutely.
Okay, Commissioner Powell.
When you all start, Cheryl, this is, you're talking to a high school student now, and when you all get those transformation of how y'all transformation, cause reports give me anxiety. That's why I'm very direct in what I'm asking and then go from there, as long as I've been on finance. So, just when you think that's appropriate with the new, make me your first client. And I need to be, do a review, fresh or whatever. Okay, thank you, that's all I want to know. Put it on our radar.
I do just wanna say, it's, in my mind, this is flexible, it's gonna be flexible information, it's gonna be a flexible transition, because we wanna make sure that we're hitting the marks for all of the people who use these reports.
Well, the good thing is,
the citizens, you guys, the executive team, the directors, everybody.
But I can say for me, since changing leadership over there, you all are doing a great job at conforming these reports based on commissioners' feedback. So I know y'all about to do some more, so I didn't wanna come, cause I was gonna plan to come to you to just start with this one, but I don't need to now that I know y'all I'm not about to duplicate efforts. So thank you.
If it helps, Commissioner, we're not planning on doing them all at once. We're definitely going to be taking an iterative approach to make sure that we're going to showcase what our new thoughts are, solicit that feedback, make sure everybody's comfortable before we start moving through on the next one. So we're really going to try to make this a partnership between between different departments and yourselves to make sure that
I just know you all know the appropriate time to bring me in, so I'm not duplicating no efforts or making myself work harder for no reason in reviewing reports. So thank you.
You're so close. All right, anybody else? Okay, seeing no one else, let's prompt the vote.
Circuit court should be
You gotta work against that.
7 yeas, 0 nays.
Okay, motion carries. The next item is item 8F, creation of 5 full-time eligible positions for the circuit court case management system. But I would like to take a 5-minute break before we start this item, because I need to leave and I wanna turn the meeting over to Commissioner Taylor and let her run this item, which is a big item, so if you don't mind, I'm gonna.
Do you wanna place your vote on this right now?
We're gonna take a 5-minute break.
I'm sorry, I gotta hammer it again. Meeting is now called back to order. And next on our agenda is the creation of 5 full-time eligible positions for Circuit Court Case Management System. I'll need a motion to moved by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Cavell. We have presenting today Sean Carlson.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Appreciate the opportunity. So I just want to give a little bit of context. I think you have some of the background here. Our current circuit court and clerk's office is running on a 50-year-old court management system. Matter of fact, when I started in this position in September of 2019 and was doing my way around talking to each of the departments, when I talked to the circuit court, the number one thing that they talked to me about at that point in time was, we're on an old crickety bridge, being an IT platform, and we need support for it. It's the same thing that Clerk Brown said as well. So we put estimates together. A new system will somewhere cost between $15 and $20 million for a new court system that needs to take place. But before we went down the track, and we did put out an RFP, and there's different systems out there. But SCAO is working, and they've got a new process that they're working, reaching out to different counties, medium-sized counties, but actually Oakland County is collaborating with the Michigan Supreme Court. SCAO stands for State Court Administrative Office, correct? I'm looking at Jennifer Howden from the clerk's office and Chris Buchak from Circuit Court. So, we've been on this as a collaboration with Chief Justice Mattis, as well as Dave Woodward, Chairman of the board here, as well as Dave Coulter, have been involved with this process. Matter of fact, every month there is a monthly status update meeting. This is a high-level project, and this is true collaboration. We are working with Lansing on this project. But one of the main reasons why IT systems fail or cost a lot of money is usually not about the IT. It's about the commitment to the resources around IT. What happens is we need departments and we need their input to help build the right kind of systems. We always think it's the IT folks, but it's not. What it is there needs to be a level of commitment from the clerk's office on this and the circuit court, and quite frankly, the Board of Commissioners and the county executive's office in regards to supporting this new system. And when we start to look at resources that have the knowledge of how things work, those people are full-time folks. And what you can't do is you can't say, hey, as extra duties as assigned, you gotta do this major system, and you also have to do your regular job. So these additional positions is because we are asking folks that your full-time job with this implementation is to do the IT. And we need to backfill that because that work hasn't gone away. And so that's what we're looking for in these positions in the clerk's office as well as the circuit court. And then we also have support from the IT vendors on this as well. So this is a 3-year process, and you've got the dollars in front of you. So I'll just pause there for a second. And Rod, anything else to add other than this is an old COBOL system?
It is an old COBOL system, that is true. So the courts have expressed the desire to have kind of a single system for the state. So I think it'll help them be more efficient in the way that they process the data. The goal is to take our system, we've got to migrate the information that we have, some of the more recent stuff into their system, and then have a common platform.
Thank you. You have nothing else that you want to add?
If we've got any more detailed questions, Chris Bujak's here from the circuit court, as well as Jennifer Howden from the clerk's office, and thank you to both of you.
Okay, thank you. I see that we have Commissioner Cavell and then Commissioner Smith.
Beat me to it. Thank you. This might be a question for Chris coming up, but first thing I wanted to lift up is I appreciate how, well, I don't appreciate it. I wish it would be more, but I get it. I think Mike would appreciate that these are limited term positions that are expected to sunset after 3 years. So they're here for a project-specific purpose, and if they are to be expanded or extended, that you'll come to us to talk about why.
That's correct.
Sounds
We'd have
very
to come.
fiscally responsible. Second question is, Chris, I remember during COVID and soon thereafter, we had talked about the huge backlog in the court system. Does any of that, one, is there still one of those? And second, does it have to do with this IT stuff?
There is still a backlog. This
Could
does
you
not
come to the
necessarily.
front, please?
Yeah, come on.
Sorry, I can hear. We still have a backlog. I don't know that I wanna call it huge. We have been working our way through it, but yes, the court still is experiencing working through some of those cases that were, it pushed everything back during COVID, right? We couldn't have jury trials for how many years? This is not necessarily expected to make it easier for us to work through the backlog. But what the state really hopes we will do is by being on a unified system, be able to give better data that is more consistent from one court to another court to produce measurable analytics that the state can use to make determinations and better budgeting decisions. That is the state's goal.
Oh, okay. So then that's part of why we're collaborating with Scale, because then ideally that could help us with it's not a reimbursement, but like our grant or like the money we get from Scale could perhaps increase because we're collecting better data?
Well, Scale is, perhaps, I suppose that's possible, but Scale has told us that they feel that the legislature will fund this system, a statewide system. So what we won't have going forward, hopefully, will be vendor maintenance fees, although that could change, right? The state does change their mind sometimes. But at present, it's not expected to have fees. The county could go out and spend a lot of money on a private system, but having a collaboration with the state might give everybody a unified system, make it easier to hire somebody because they've worked on the system from another court, right? Make for better metrics when we compare from county to county. Right now, it can be very difficult making a comparison between the big 5 courts.
Okay, thank you.
Is that it? Commissioner Spiz.
Thank you, Madam Chair. A few questions. I'm gonna separate them between the positions and the professional services. Because we have $6.5 million are allocated for professional services, 25, 26, and 27. Very good, right? Now, when you say professional services, is that for the software itself? What is considered professional services in this case for these 3 years?
Yeah, it's consulting services.
Consulting service from an outside vendor to help us implement this service, okay. So.
That was competitively bid.
Understand. And so, and they're gonna help us are they doing data transfer, all the stuff from the existing system, or is it more to configure the system to something we want? So we're gonna specialize the system versus buying off the shelf is what I'm asking.
So I guess the good and bad news is the system will be the state system. So we're not really buying software, we're integrating into their existing court
integrated
system platform.
So from configuration
So
perspective.
there will be some configuration and potentially some modifications to their system so the initial phase of the professional services is gap analysis. So we've done a high level one, this is more of a deep dive, working with the end users to say, okay, what's your process, how does that line up with the state system, and then how do we make sure that the systems will work for everyone?
Alright, so does that also include any data from the existing system over that we have to migrate or no?
So there's some additional contractors that we'll probably have to have from the IT side to do the technical work to migrate the data and do the transformations. This professional services piece is more for kind of guiding the transformation from a business perspective.
Okay, so there might be additional fees that you come in for us to do data migration in the future? Is that what I just heard?
So I believe that in these professional services buckets, there is a little bit of money for IT to bring in technical folks, but for right now, the bulk of the work is in this discovery phase.
Okay, so then I'm gonna switch over to the 5 full-time employees that you're requesting now. What is their job description going to be? Is it gonna be doing exactly what they're doing today, but in a new system? Or, it's kind of why I was asking the migration question earlier, are these people gonna be used to help with that migration? What are they really gonna do?
What the plan will be is that we will take the subject matter experts that are currently in those positions, and we will transition them to the project team, where they will be working very closely with the technical staff, with the state, with the vendor, with, Genyati, and working to make sure that the system we get is the system that we expect, right? And that it will work for the court. And then we will be hiring people, promoting people, bringing people in to fill the positions that they're currently doing. So we will be backfilling. Those positions that are coming in will just be taking over the duties that were being done by the other staff.
Yeah. So based on that, are you looking to hire all 5 at the same time, or will you do them over a period of time?
And we actually think we will ramp up. I know that 2 of the positions I would like to hire right now. The 3rd probably not until we get more into the project. Like right now, as part of Discovery, there are 2 people that I have on our staff that are very much pulled into this project and are working on it almost daily. Within the next couple of months, I anticipate they will be working on it daily. It will be the bulk of their work. I need a little time to transition them, to help them train the person that will be taking over their regular duties. So that's really why we'd like to bring them on right away.
Yeah, otherwise the backload increases.
Yeah, I understand. That's kind of why I'm asking how the transition period.
Just to piggyback on what Rod said a few minutes ago about that, the state system is built for all of the courts of the state. As you know, Oakland County has a very robust IT department, and we have a very specialized automated system here. So we know that we will have to make adjustments, maybe by the use of third-party software or something, to keep those integrations, to keep up with the volume and the automation that we have today.
Okay, thank you. And just, if I may, Madam Chair, I'd like to get a status report on this every quarter if I could. I've been through some of these implementations before. They can go really well, or they can go off the rails pretty damn quick, right? And in your plan, I think it is one I would like to see other agencies have used in the past. They always think they can do implementations like this with what they have, and it never goes well. So I can understand what you're asking for here, so thank you.
See my name.
Thank you. Commissioner Long?
Okay, so thank you. To piggyback on Commissioner Spiz, so on the 5 positions, so you're taking 5 people internally, bumping them up,
They're
devoting
subject
them
matter
to the,
experts, right, going into the
devoting
IT.
them to the project of getting this implemented, this new system. Then are you gonna have to come back here to hire 5 new people, or no, since the positions are already there?
These are the positions.
These are the positions.
So we will be posting. I don't know who will fill these 5 positions.
So it could be internally, no, not the old positions, would that be internal or maybe outside?
No, internal current staff that are currently in positions that are outlined here will be transitioned to the project as needed, right?
Okay.
And we will be filling their positions that they're in now, basically will be filled.
With who? That's what I'm asking, I guess.
We
Those.
haven't made a determination on who will take those positions. We plan to post.
Okay.
And it could be internal or external.
That's what I'm
It might be a retiree who wants to come back and work. It might be somebody from another court. It could be.
But now you
current
won't have to
staff.
come back here.
We will not, except.
If we vote in favor of this, then you guys are good to backfill those
Yes.
other old positions.
That's what we're
Yes.
asking.
Okay.
We think there is a good chance, 3 years, 3 years is a very quick estimate for a project this size. So it is possible we will come back and ask to extend those positions, but we would have to come back and ask to extend them past the 3 years.
So currently are these employees that are working on the new system, they're just doing their job and the new system right now, or trying to, or we haven't really started? Are they trying to implement the new system?
Trying to.
Yes.
But they're all overloaded? You
This
guys
is-
studied that, there's no way they could do.
This is where we start to lose staff because they can't do both. You can't have a foot in both with major projects. And this is where IT projects typically fail, is because you're like, oh, we don't wanna get the extra position or backfill. Charlie can do half of this and the other half of this.
And do his other half of the job,
And
so
it
you've
doesn't
already
work.
known this
Yeah.
is not possible, these people are being,
They're gonna be committed to this project, and then we need to backfill so the backlog doesn't grow.
Lack of resources tend to cause delays in a project. So if you don't have available resources to do the work by the time that is, required, right, to move on to another phase, then that will start pushing the project back. That's how you miss deadlines, that's how you get into cost overruns.
Number one reason why ERP systems and other major systems
don't work,
fail.
it's because the staff are not getting the stuff done, or overworked.
Right.
Alright, and so then in 3 years, if it's not done, then you would have to come back, right, to
That's
say,
right.
we need to extend these 5 positions. And then these people that take these 5 positions, what would they do? Would they be able to have county jobs when they're done in 3 years? Cause they lost.
Yeah, I think it depends. We could start to, as, this isn't gonna be a surprise. Oh, surprise, the project is done, right? We'll be able to kind of plan, and if it's a staff member that wants to stay and we want them to stay, I would anticipate that we would be able to look ahead and start to, plan, right? We might hold a position open for a few months, knowing that we could transition them into
Okay,
it.
but they're aware of this, so they could take this
We would
5 year
make them
or
aware.
3-year project and maybe there's nothing in 3 years for them to go back to.
Right, we would definitely tell people these are sunset positions, we
Okay.
always do.
Alright,
Most likely, they're gonna be the experts in the new
alright,
tool.
Excuse me.
thank you.
Sorry. We gotta stay. Commissioner, is there any other
I'm done,
questions?
yeah, thanks.
Okay, thank you. Any other commissioner with questions? Okay, well, I do have a few. Since the funding wasn't part of this adopted 25 budget, how does this impact the county's overall financial position? And are there any trade-offs or reallocations?
Well, the overall, we're gonna have to use fund balance for this is the bottom line, for this. There's no other funding that we can take this from. This is a strategic investment, and that's why there's a fund as part of the fund balance that talks about strategic investment.
Okay.
Sorry.
We need one conversation, please. You've mentioned that retiring the mainframe will save the county about $300,000 per year. Can you walk us through those savings and how it compares to the overall cost of this project?
It's just a license fee, right?
Well,
So there's a third party that currently is supporting the mainframe because it's a kind of a specialized piece of hardware and it's difficult to find people that still have the skill sets. So and then there's we have an external spend on that. We've got internal folks that are working on making the enhancements to this. So we'll have to see, I guess, as it moves forward because they've got skills that could potentially be moved to other areas depending on workloads. So I don't want to commit to a huge staff reduction there, but for sure we would be able to sunset the third party support of the mainframe.
So at what point do you think we'll start to see, some kind of financial benefit, the net financial benefit?
Commissioner Turner, I'm not sure, and I don't mean to step on your answer, Rod, but I'm not sure that this is being done for financial benefit. The law changed, like the set-aside law that came a few years ago. We currently can't comply with that. Our records are set aside at a case level, not at a charge level inside of the mainframe. To modify the mainframe to make it at a charge level is not cost effective because it's such old technology. So that's another driving force. We have actual things that we just can't do to comply with legal requirements in the existing system.
And just going back to, or going over to the scope side, you've already mentioned to us that this is gonna be a gap analysis. But can you give us a sense of what that analysis, or when that analysis might be completed?
I think the plan is that the rest of this year will be dedicated to fleshing out the gap analysis. So we did Dunyadi was here late last year, they started doing kind of a high level functional gap. This is a more detailed deep dive with the end users and the clerks in the courts. But I think we're targeting for the end of the year.
Okay, so those findings could change the estimates of the overall scope, right?
It's possible. I think that it's, so far we've got a good spirit of cooperation with the state folks, but as you start getting down, the devil's always in the details. So there might be something that would cause them to make a major upgrade to the system, and then we'd have to kind of see what does that mean.
Okay. Thank you. Commissioners, are there any other questions?
Just one more request. As part of the quarterly updates you give to us, can you put a full timeline in there, expected timeline at the time? I'm sure you, after your gap analysis, you'll have that, right? And they'll be able to give you a better idea of when we think we'll be done.
Thank you. Seeing no other questions, would you please prompt vote?
Oh, yes, yes.
So 6 yeas, 0 nays.
Motion passes. Thank you. Next, we go to item 9, which is the Economic Development and Infrastructure Committee recommendations. Item A, amendment number 1 to the FY 2025 County Veterans Service Fund grant with Michigan's Veterans Affairs Agency.
I'll move it.
Moved by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Smith.
Smith Charles.
I'm sorry, Smith Charles.
She's on the right side.
Oh, you can just hit the blue button?
The incorrect side, yes, you are right.
We have with
This is
us
gonna be a
Mr.
fun
Garth
committee.
Wooten.
I know. Everybody else is gonna hate it.
Is he down?
No, they were-
Sean, you're taking this too?
Yeah, I've got this, so.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you, Madam Chair. We spoke at the ED&I committee earlier today about this. And of course, what's in front of you might seem administrative, but it's not. This is very important. We were given a grant and we were awarded a grant by the Michigan Veterans Affairs Agency last November 13th, we received a letter. The grant award will be funded for up to $530,893. So that was a grant that we received, fully executed, signed by our chairman as well as the MVAA at the state of Michigan. On February 18th, we were given a letter from the Michigan Veterans Affairs,
60% cut.
$208,747, so 61% decrease.
I did that in my head.
So although contractually, the agreement that we have with them allows the state to do that, we felt it very important that we understand this, is that this is a cost reduction. We're gonna need to amend here. But what we are not going to do is we are not gonna break promises with our veterans. We have a program that's been with the Veteran Services under Garth Wooten and under Tyrone in regards to our veteran resource fairs. What's important for you all to understand is that we have 19 million veterans in this country. 9 million approximately in some numbers, 52% utilize the benefits that they're entitled to. That means 48% of veterans are not utilizing benefits that they are entitled to. Now, veterans are proud individuals that have served their country and raised their right hand and have taken an oath. But we find that of the 58,000 veterans that we have in this county, since we've been doing these veteran resource fairs, we've kind of been a victim of our success. It has overloaded our office and staff in regards to the requests that are coming in from our veterans. So we're gonna need to address that, and we will address that in the next budget, and there are some things that we're doing internally to address that as well. But the Trump administration taking out 80,000 veteran employees out of 482,000 that exists in the VA department is going to create an impact. And it's gonna create an impact on our veterans here as well, which is they're gonna go somewhere, and where they're gonna go in the county is to the county. And we're gonna need to stand tall with them and lean in just like they leaned in when they took their oath and defended our country. But what I wanna say here today is that the Coulter administration we're gonna figure out how this grant still takes place. There's still some arguments that we will have with the state of Michigan in regards to some funding that we've already expended, and we believe that they owe us above that $208,000. And whatever that ends up being a balance of, then we will look to go to our corporate partners who have been strong corporate partners out there and see if we can't fundraise the balance of that. And whatever we can't, we'll figure out how economic development absorbs that. But what we will not do is we will not break a promise to our veterans in this county, regardless of what the state's saying. But what I would implore each of you to do is to call your state senator and call your state rep. I am sure that they're not aware of these cuts that are being asked, not only of Oakland County, but the other 82 counties as well. And there's a lot of other counties that count on this and only have one resource working in their county for their veterans. But I wanted to make sure, as a retired veteran from the Air Force with over 20 years of service, active duty, reserve, and National Guard, I'm passionate about that. These two guys could have got in front of you and talked to you what was going on. But this is not how we treat folks that put service before self. So I would suggest potentially an amendment. I don't know if that can be done. I was talking to Chairwoman Markham after. If you pass this, it could be interpreted by the community as if you're accepting this cut. I think you should have some language in this resolution that talks about how we will fulfill our obligations here under this current grant. So I don't know what we can do for that language, but so.
Madam Chairwoman, if I could just add a note to that, since Chair Markham did ask me prior to her leaving that she would get with Commissioner Woodward about a possible amendment or improvement of language before full board. With finance, we'll focus on the dollar amount.
Thank you. Commissioner Powell?
Yes, because that's what I was gonna ask, that we set this aside so that our deputy could talk more with the leadership and where this money's gonna come from and all that, so we stick to our commitment of helping in this space of our veterans here in Oakland County.
Yes, it's a huge cut. Support.
So we first have.
Got a motion, so I gotta put the motion on there?
Yes, ma'am.
So I motion. Do I need to repeat what I said?
Yes, please.
I would like for us to table this. No, not table, postpone.
Is that a sign? What is it?
Can I?
Which one is it?
I'm sorry.
As long as it has a date.
Yep, so what I think what you're trying to do, because I think I'm with you here.
Okay.
Is maybe what we do, because this in Chair's up here too, but we can make sure between now and the board meeting, whatever needs to get cleaned up or processed with Schedule A with our new guy here is done. But I would recommend maybe what we do is we make an amendment to, we amend this to say, be it further resolved, $322,000 or $323,000 be taken from non-departmental or whatever to the Veterans Affairs in a one-time transfer. And then they can clean up the language, or if we make an amendment on the floor of the board because the dollar amount's a little off or the source of the funds is a little off, they can tell us to fix it on the 18th in the morning.
And if I
So
could
now
just,
postpone, we voted out of committee with an amendment to fully fund.
Okay.
Point of order for just one moment, please. We see our chairman is online and
He's
he would
rubbing
like to
his
speak.
forehead, which means he's.
He's wrinkling his forehead.
I have an electrician here that's just snagged a problem, so I was rubbing my head for that. So I mean, I think there's a couple ways of doing this, and so I mean, unless we have fiscal in the House that can craft the amendment exactly right, it might just be better like to move this along with the understanding an amendment will be coming to fully fund the difference. If I guess it depends on what pot of money and resources get called. I mean, I think there's a consensus based on the conversation that we're going to fully fund the difference one way or another. The question is, what's the optimal way to do that? And unless fiscal's in the House still, and I can't see in my little picture, that we might need to just check in with them and craft the amendment and bring it part of the floor and just move the resolution as is of and add that amendment once we know the best way to do it. I think Commissioner Cavell's recommendation, I mean, would work if that's the best way to do it. I just think we should check with fiscal.
Yeah, we have to
Okay,
make
so
sure
wait,
that we're not supplanting.
We need one person speaking at a time, I'm sorry. Were you finished, Commissioner Woodward? Yes. We do have fiscal in the audience. Would you like to come up and comment on what was just said, and then we'll go back?
I was gonna withdraw my motion right now, because we in the discussion, so I just
Okay.
wanted to withdraw it.
Your
Okay, thank you.
postponement, yes.
Yeah,
Thank you,
okay, just withdraw
thank you.
for discussion.
So we were very specific about the language that we put in the resolution, because if we make the resolution now and fund that $300,000, we would really limit our ability to then get the funding from the state as a grant, because that would be supplanting. So that's why we worded it the way that we did, so that, because I know that Sean has been very passionate about, you know, the state really covering this funding. If we're not saying we're not gonna step up, but if we step up and we put a budget amendment, now we funded it, and we can't take the grant for it because that's considered supplanting.
I mean, there's a possibility that the state might do a supplemental on this. But I do think that you may wanna consider some kind of resolution or language that you're committed, that, you know, that something that says that, you know, that you understand what's going on, but you're committed to ensuring that the funds are here. But we need to work some things out with the state. They're gonna owe us more than the $208,000 that they're saying that they're gonna pay for it. Cause we've already incurred costs, and according to contractual, they probably owe us another $30,000 or $40,000. So if all of a sudden we did this motion, then we would be supplanting then and putting in that $40,000. So there's some things that we need, but what I wanna say to all of you is that you may wanna have some kind of amendment or resolution that although you're supporting this because we need this, we need to get this back to the state by the 20th? Correct. By the 20th. So we need this to be done, but I also don't want it to make it look like the commissioners are cutting this grant. So I think you're gonna wanna have some language in there in regards to a follow-up of how we're gonna support this program going forward.
And just remember here, we're just recommending that we're recommending this to the board. So we don't really have to decide on anything other than say, yes, we wanna recommend this to the board.
And I think we can
at
clean
this
all
time.
this up by the time it goes to the board.
Which was my next piece. Was that gonna give you time to clean everything up?
I just wanted to make sure that we do reiterate that as currently presented, Fiscal Services did a great job of getting that budget amendment to us, and it is craftily, it's carefully worded to accomplish what I think Commissioner Cavell just articulated. So I think as is, this item is ready to go to the board. I think what Mr. Carlson is recommended to Chairwoman Markham, which said she would take to Chair Woodward, is more of a policy statement by this board, less of the financial impact. So that's why she didn't necessarily want to have the discussion here at the Finance Committee.
One moment, Commissioner Smith, you're okay.
You guys answered everything.
Commissioner Long?
Oh, thank you. So to move this forward by the 20th, we don't wanna jeopardize that 208,000 you're saying right now. We need to get this from the state, even though it's cut dramatically. We need this 208,000. So we wanna pass this and move this forward, so you guys get your 208,000 funding from the state, correct?
And then we will give them all of our other expenses and say, hey, it's not really 208, it's 243, and you owe us the difference.
Okay.
Because one of the things that was clarified to them is, hey, you can't just notify people on the 18th and stop their spending, you gotta give them a 30-day notice. And so the 30-day notice started on February.
So we're at least going to try to get that 40,000, but there might be additional funding to try to get up to that 500,000. We don't wanna block ourselves in with the amendment.
That's right.
So, okay.
And the senators and the representatives could do a supplemental budget and say, hey, I'm not sure why this wasn't brought to our attention, but we're reinstating all of that funding. If they reinstate all of that funding and then we put something else in place, then we would be bumped from.
All right, thank you. Just wanted to make sure the clarity of it. Okay, thank you.
Commissioner Cavell?
Thank you, Chair. I just wanted to lift up to when we look at what's going to be reduced.
It's a mess.
It's a
It's a
mess,
lot.
but also of the 322 that is not coming to us as of now, 200,000 of it is for food vouchers, food boxes, and transportation to like medical appointments.
None of this is gonna be reduced.
Right, but just
Right.
as stated, to carefully word the language or whatever, so we can fight back. But just saying, lifting this up to say like, this is, right, I don't know how fancier to say it, but like veterans are poor people too. They need food
Our
boxes.
most
They need-
vulnerable
yes.
veterans are gonna be impacted the most on
Yes. So like when we think about fully and fairly funding health and human services, it also ties in with veterans. Which also, maybe we gotta talk about a veterans millage. Let's talk about it. Maybe not now, but let's talk about it. Let's talk about it. Macomb County has a veterans millage.
Yes, they do.
Yes, they do.
Macomb County though?
Are we not as cool as Macomb?
We're
Let's
way
talk about it
cooler.
offline.
Okay.
Maybe we'll bring it up in caucus, Chair.
I think we still need a motion.
Okay, yes.
We have a motion on this. don't
We,
we?
no, we have a motion.
Oh, I thought-
withdrew it.
Oh, yeah,
I
I'm
withdrew it.
No, she only withdrew, you withdrew your,
amendment.
Oh, I
postpone it.
Oh,
Yeah, we
okay.
have
There
a
is a-
motion, yeah.
Right, so
We
we're
have a
ready to
main
vote.
motion, yes.
We're ready
on
to
the-
vote on
On the,
this.
yes, yes,
Would you please prompt the vote?
yeah, on the main. Recommended.
Yes.
We can work on it.
Recommend to the board.
Yeah.
With that, I gotta go.
Motion passes for
Look at
recommend to the board. Thank you, everyone.
Bye-bye.
Next item,
Alright, good.
Yeah, got it.
we're at item number 10A.
So, I wanna make sure I was listening, yeah.
Tracy's just said.
Oh,
There you go.
We do, 4 is a quorum.
thank you. All right, that's okay. It's Public Health and Safety Committee recommendations. Contract with the Rapid SOS for the Emergency Communications and
Shit, it
Operations
was on,
Division.
sorry.
I need a motion by Commissioner Cavell, second by Commissioner Long. Thank you. We have here presenting today.
Under Sheriff Willis, I have Captain Miles here and Meredith from 911, sorry. I've been here a minute, so sorry.
Yeah, I know, that's what I was thinking.
Sorry. Yeah, and they're definitely more the expert on this, so I'll turn it over to them.
I've been here about 2 minutes, Under Sheriff. If you don't know me, I'm Meredith Morgan. I am the new County 911 Coordinator. I've been here about 8 months now. I'm replacing Pat Coates, who I'm sure you all know because she's a legend.
Yes.
So I come here with a lot of experience in 911. As Commissioner Taylor knows, I worked for the city of Southfield for 29 years as a dispatcher and eventually the director in charge of dispatch. So I've been in the 911 business for about 30 years myself. So one of the things that we're.
She's humble, she's also a veteran.
Yeah, and I appreciate, I am so thankful to you, I just wanna say, for being supportive of veterans because it's been very disheartening to hear what's happening to them. And I also live in Oakland County, so to know that I am supported as a veteran, my husband is a veteran, that's wonderful news for me. So the Rapid SOS is a tool that our dispatchers can use. In the county, we have 19 dispatch centers. They're all tied together through a shared network. They use the same radio system, the same CAD system, the same phone system. So it's important that they all have the same tools because at this point, they can pick up, if one dispatch center goes down for some reason, they can go to another one. They can go to the backup center at the Pontiac substation and sign in and work like they're at their home dispatch center, okay? Because we're all networked. So that's why it's important that this covers all 19 of those PSAPs so that they continue to have the same shared tools. We've used Rapid SOS for a while. We also have a representative from Rapid SOS here if you have any specific questions we can't answer. Having been in 911 from the evolution of landline phones where when you dialed from your house, we knew exactly where you were, to wireless phones where we had no idea where you were initially, to where we are now and Rapid SOS being one of those great partners with the 911 community, we get the exact location if you're on a cell phone now, which didn't exist for a long time and made our jobs challenging. So that's one of the great things Rapid SOS supplies is that location. It also gives a breadcrumb, right? So if you're moving, it's moving with you. We see where you're going. It uses, one of the things that we're asking for here is the GIS module. We can layer all of the maps that are Esri based, indoor building maps, outdoor terrain maps, anything. So if somebody's even lost on a trail in one of the parks, we can see exactly where they are. So these things are all very helpful to our dispatchers so that they can get help to the people they need. I can tell you from personal experience, my husband and I were at Kensington Metro Park years ago riding bikes. He got overheated and passed out on me. And I'm like, wait a minute. And I worked in 911. I had no idea where I was in the park. So these things help. They help people, okay? The communicator module, which gives us translation. It gives us some transcription. Right now, the way we translate calls, we have to call a third-party translation service and get them on the line. And they have to get somebody that can speak that language, right? And conference us all together, and it goes back and forth. So it's not very efficient. This helps make it more efficient. Through our text to 911 service, we do already have translation, but again, Rapid SOS provides that too.
It sits in the text, he sits in there.
Yes, our text to 911 sits within their platform. So one of the things I know Captain Miles has been really happy about is our dispatchers have 4 maps that they use. This gets it down to 1 map, okay? And that's one of the things when I took this position, I went around to the other centers because everybody has a little different setup. Some of them are watching cameras. Some of them help with prisoners. Some of them help with the front desk. It just depends on where you are. And some of them, I think the most screens I saw that somebody had, they had 9 screens in front of them of information that they have to manage just based on where they work. So for us to be able to get the number of screens that they have to digest information from down is very helpful. And then the field module is a great tool, an additional tool that is gonna help us get information to the field responders, and then they can reply back to the dispatchers through the platform. So you don't have to worry about picking up a phone or getting on a radio. When you have a major incident, which I know Captain Miles has talked a lot about Oxford, getting on the radio to talk to somebody, it can be very difficult because the radio system will block you from talking if somebody else is talking. So this, gives us another avenue to communicate with those that are out in the field, responding to the calls that we've sent them to.
If I could add on to the field responder portion of it, is it really helps us make sure that everyone has the same information. So if we're responding to an area that's contracted with the sheriff's office or not contracted with the sheriff's office, we'll have the same information as the center that is sending their police agency. I grew up at the south end of the county. My parents are still in Hazel Park. I know what they're capable of doing down there, but I know that when push comes to shove, we're gonna be sending help down there. So I like the idea that if we need the map of Hazel Park High School, or we need the map of something, we already have it available to us to get to our people, so that response is seamless to, maybe my mom and dad. So with that field component, really getting the information out there in one seamless way is gonna make a huge difference. You don't have to go looking for a human who's wearing clothes. Here's an actual picture of that human. The actual information that you're looking for when it comes to the map. If someone says, go to the north side of the school. Well, if you're directionally challenged, the north side might be a hard place to find. The map is always orientated north in the system, so you can, when you get that on your phone or on that mobile device for a police officer, a fire responder, or an EMS person, they'll be able to find that north part of the school because it's very clearly marked. You can stand outside, look around, go, oh, there's that street, that's the north side, that's where the door is gonna be. So it really helps, especially that second flow of responders to something. So it unifies that the initial response, the people are going, lights and sirens, they're not pulling up small things on their phone. It's that secondary and third waves of really unified response to our citizens. Sorry.
And the other thing you meant, we're on the point of sharing, we can share information between dispatch centers. So if there's a major incident where we've got multiple agencies responding, we have the ability to share information with each other through this platform rather than picking up the phone again or trying to get on a back channel on a radio to relay that information. We can send it right over to them through this system.
And that especially, that's actually more daily, when weather starts hitting. So when the tornado hit White Lake, all of the weather from that tornado hit the sheriff's office PSAP first because it hit the west side of the county. As it came across, it hit White Lake, it took them out completely. All their phone calls rolled over to Waterford. Waterford was inundated. All their phone calls rolled over to us. So we're like, well, we can't give it back to White Lake. We don't have a way to give them their stuff. So this would give us that additional tool to say, hey, you know, maybe it's trees down, but maybe there's something more significant. You got to deal with this. And we'll have that platform available.
Thank you, commissioners. Commissioner Long.
Yeah, thank you, thank you. So this is a new service, and then did we go out for RFPs and then the Rapid SOS was bid on this?
Rapid SOS has been with the sheriff's office and with the entire county since 2015 when we implemented our EZNet.
Okay.
It's actually an infrastructure component. So we're at the sheriff's office, we're updating to the next free platform of it right now, but it doesn't give us all of these options.
So we didn't go out, because
So
we're using them already, it didn't go out for RFP because we're using them for other things.
Correct.
Okay, and so I see this is a 3-year contract for $400,000, so in 3 years, if we like this system, we would come back, you would need more funding. Is that correct?
Yes, but I believe that is a per year cost at the 400, that it caps at 1.2 over the 3 years.
Oh, it's $400,000 a year?
Yes, for the whole component, for the entire county.
Okay. So that's 1.2,
Yeah,
I thought it was 400,000 for the 3-year contract, so, okay.
Clear in ours.
Yeah, our write-ups, I'm sorry, you guys, our write-ups aren't so hot this packet. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I'm here.
I
didn't write this one,
thank
but
you.
still, what we're
Yeah,
asking.
Go ahead, Chairman.
Can we come back to order, please?
Thank you.
We have the chair, Chairman Woodward.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair, Madam Vice Chair. I think this contract will get structured in similar of all our others, which will be a 3-year contract with 2 1-year optional and allocating the resources. And it's not cheap per se, but I think when you think about 910 square miles with multiple PSAPs across, making sure that we have this technology available for all of our communities to be able to use, we hope never to have the experience of the emergencies that we need to respond to. But as you know, that our public safety, our 911, our sheriff department, and all our local public safety agencies are actively prepared to respond. And this takes us from where we are today in leaps and bounds with greater efficiency to give our first responders more tools, more information so that they can respond safely and more effectively when those emergencies do occur. And strongly support this.
I just want to respond to Chairman Woodward, and I agree, I just didn't know, it's not written up. And I understood it as 400,000 for 3 years, so that's the way it's written up. So I don't vote no on public safety, and this is something that is needed, obviously, so thank you.
Well, thank you for bringing that to our attention.
Yeah.
I'm sure that's something we'll fix. Thank you. Commissioner Cavell.
Just quick to say, further upstream, public health and housing and mental health is also public safety.
I know.
Okay, cool. Just putting that out there, just make sure we're all talking. Okay.
Thank you. Are there any other, seeing no other names requesting to speak, are there any other commissioners that would like to speak? Excuse me, can we have one meeting, please? Is there any other commissioner that would like to speak to this topic? Okay, seeing none, would you please prompt the vote to recommend to the board? Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
No, I like it.
5 yeas, 0 nays.
Maybe we have to put the hard stuff at the end so that 4 hours in, it's just everyone's like,
free for all.
yeah.
5-0, okay, thank you. Our next item is item B, Amendment number 2 to the 2025 Emerging Threats Local Health Department Grant. Commissioner Smith Charles, motion and second by Commissioner Powell. I was adding them together, I'm sorry. We have with us Leanne Stafford, thank you.
Good afternoon now. So I'm hoping this is a good news. We're bringing money to the table for these amazing initiatives. So we have been granted a little over $2 million to increase some of our lab initiatives, which have been an amazing initiative over the last few years. We originally brought this project to you all during COVID. And it was really focused around our sewer grants, right? So monitoring disease in the community. It's actually very new technology, which is, like I said, was introduced as part of the COVID response. So when we originally brought this to you, they had new technology that could recognize COVID in the community 2 weeks prior to an outbreak happening. And so what we worked very hard with was the state to create this testing in our county, Oakland County lab. And so as part of our regional initiative and our regional lab, we implemented COVID and used that very closely as we watched COVID come across the county. But now we're able to increase the opportunities to look for diseases in the community. So we're adding flu, RSV, and COVID. And so currently we're monitoring at very vulnerable, high-risk locations, so long-term care centers, also areas of possible outbreaks, which is in the campuses at Lawrence Tech, right? So as we see people living in close quarters, we're able to expand this testing. So the state is giving us money, because they are very good partners of ours, to add a full-time medical tech, or I'm sorry, a part-time medical tech to help with this testing, as well as the reagents to do the testing. And also, I think there might be, it's really just the funding to be able to support that. So yesterday, I had a great question. If we can change the locations, actually, Commissioner Spiz asked us that. We have the ability to change locations if we want to. As this expands, we can look for new partners to be able to provide this testing. Currently, we're in long-term care centers and at a dormitory in at the Lawrence Tech. So again, a little over 2 million, great project, and I think we'll be able to do some great things with this, so.
Commissioner Long, did you have any? No. Commissioner Cavell?
I just wanna lift up, if we look at the Schedule A, 2.1 of this 2.17, or, right, only 56,000 is state grants, which perhaps is federal pass-through, or is it just state?
It's just state.
So out of $2.17 million, $2.12 million is federal. And as we heard several hours ago, this is what happens with the health department. All their money comes, not all, but just to say it, all their money comes from the feds. So this federal, out of this health department program that Leanne's gonna run with Kate, Midi, and all them, 2.12 million out of the 2.17 million is federal. Okay.
Thank you.
Amen, thank you.
Any other? Okay, seeing none, would you prompt the vote for recommending to the board? Your 5 yeas, 0 nays. Thank you, motion passes.
Thank you. Thank you. Sorry you had to be so long. It's long,
Thank you,
fast,
we've had a
you know?
long day.
Yeah.
Item number 11A, which is the Legislative Affairs and Government Operations Committee recommendation. Grant acceptance of fiscal year 2025 Sustain Our Great Lakes Grant. And here to present is Ms. Sarah Malin.
Melissa Rouse.
Oh, first I have to have a motion. It's been moved by Commissioner Powell, second by Commissioner Cavell. Thank you.
Thank you. This is a grant of $300,000 from the Sustain Our Great Lakes program, which is funding from the National Fish and Wildlife Foundation, another national federal funding source. This is to help with our project at Southfield Oaks, which is the restoration of the former Beachwoods golf course there. We have a $1.5 million in ARPA funding going to that project and another $1.5 million coming from Parks, so that makes up our match for this grant. which will just help us with that work. It's a big project to restore that much land from a golf course back to, reconnect the floodplain to the Rouge River there, lots of wetland restoration. We're gonna put some beautiful trails and some interpretation through there as well. So this just lets us do a little bit more of that work while we're on site.
Questions? Seeing none? Oh, I'm sorry, Commissioner Gabel.
Just as we think about all this federal money stuff, one cool thing is that Oakland County residents voted, 65-35 for the Parks millage to be expanded?
Yes.
Which allows, as we saw in that spread, that little PowerPoint that they gave us, that like 90% of the parks funding is not federal. And so us having millages for our services helps us. I know you're tired of it, but I'm just gonna keep saying it, like, let's do it, guys.
And I will say parks depends on the year, right? We got $2 million from HUD a couple years ago for the farmers market project, so it really just does depend on the year. But this year we did not have much federal funding, no.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thank you. Would you please prompt the vote?
You have 5 yeas, 0 nays?
Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, that brings us to our public comment. Is there anyone here?
I just got something to say.
That will be under other business.
Okay.
Okay. Okay, I will now close the public comments and seeing no one. No, other business.
I just wanted to bring it to my colleagues' attention that I don't know if y'all seen it in the press the other day about the situation with the mother and the 2 kids. Her family is suing the county. I just want to say publicly, and I will say this next Tuesday in our caucus and also at our board meeting, that we found out about that body cam video just as the public found out about it. And I just want to say that I'm happy that actually the officer is not with the county anymore. But I know that also, because we're being sued, we have minimal conversation or talks about it because we're going through the lawsuit right now with their family or whatever. But I just wanted to bring it to public attention that the commissioners found out, well, and especially for me, because it's my district and where it happened, I was sent the newspaper article, I had just seen it, and I'm just happy that that officer is no longer with our sheriff's department. But basically, he said a lot of interesting comments and just, he was very emotional in a negative way that day. And I'm just happy we don't have him with our sheriff force. Thank you.
Thank you. Seeing none other, I will adjourn this meeting at 2:29.
First off,